Good morning. Live from Hattie B's at the factory in Franklin on this Friday. Morale is high. We got Lucas, we got Kirby, we got Becky, we got CJ, we got everybody.
We got chicken.
We got chicken, baby. Hot chicken at Hattie B's. It's always good to be out here. And not only do we have chicken today, as I get ready to watch you just devour everything on the menu, try and compose yourself, would you? We're in public.
No.
All right? I feel the need to walk around with some kind of like splatter guard that they used to have at salad bars with you, just because there's shrapnel flying everywhere as soon as you stick your face into that mac and cheese.
You'll be getting a few things from me today. Composure is not one of them.
615-737-1045, the number. I'm also delighted because not only do we have chicken merch. And the chicken merch is excellent. I have on the waffle knit beanie from Hattie B's. I also have my Hattie B's jersey on. I will tell you, it's a little bit brisk outside, so if you need something to cover your ears, shop.hattieb.com is where you go to check out all the merch. They got a bunch of new stuff, and it's sick. Swaggy chicken merch. How about that at Hattie B's?
Swaggy chicken merch and Thanksgiving. You have until Wednesday the 20th. So that is 5 days to get your Hattie B's Thanksgiving catering. And we're not trying to feed your family shut the cluck up chicken for Thanksgiving. Like, we're talking about turkey, cheesy hot chicken dip, carrot souffle, all made in-house, homemade right here by the people at Hattie B. So go check it out at hattieb.com.
Yes, indeed. F&M Bank Chat, also at your disposal. Hi, how are you? On Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. As Kirby gets in the way of the camera, as we wave at the camera, the production quality always exceptional. Here at 104.5 The Zone, Ben Jones will be here with us in the noon hour, and we will try and keep Ben from also devouring everything on the menu, because I know he's on a diet, and I feel like an offensive lineman on a diet is not the safest place to bring him, is probably not a Hattie B's.
I would disagree. I would say that is the safest play. Let this be Ben Jones' cheat day.
Well, Ben Jones may need a cheat day because things looking a little bit bleaker for his Georgia Bulldogs heading into this weekend. It was report. You can pick your pen up after
it's right under
it at me. It's fine. Go ahead. It's not like we're on camera or anything. Trevor Etienne has been ruled out for this game against Tennessee on Saturday. Number 12 Georgia hosting number 7 Tennessee, downgraded from questionable to out on Thursday night's SEC availability report. Since we're doing hockey stuff in college football now, it is a reported upper body injury on November the 2nd that he did sustain. He did not return to that game, was limited in the 28-10 loss against Ole Miss last week. He had 6 carries for 24 yards. So one of their, if not their best skill position player is not going to be available for this game. So any confidence that Georgia Bulldog fans might have had might further be shaken after Matt Murphy came in, not barking, but a slight whimper.
Oh, yeah, quite the opposite. Matt Murphy was not confident with us yesterday. They have not been playing well. Carson Beck's turning the ball over. They are already shorthanded at running back and not running the football well. And now they are without their best running back in Trevor Etienne, probably their biggest transfer portal acquisition in the offseason from Florida. So that is huge news. I didn't know where he was trending throughout the course of the week. Saw him as questionable. I figured that he'd be good enough to go, kind of like Nico trending in the right direction. So I was surprised to see them go ahead and rule him out that preemptively, 2 days before the game. Whereas with Nico, they're going to take it right up until Saturday. I'd be surprised if we get a definitive answer on Nico, whether or not he's playing before 2 hours before kickoff or 90 minutes before kickoff when that final punctuation on the availability report is put out.
So if you were listening to Murphy's interview with us yesterday, he also expressed his lack of confidence because the rest of the running backs are hurt too. You got Cash Jones listed as questionable. You got Branson Robinson, who is continuing to be out with a knee injury after missing the last 3 games. So you've got a true freshman in Nate Frazier as the only what is considered healthy at this time of year Georgia running back right now. Second on the team, 333 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns on the season.
And he's a good player. He's going to be a good player for Georgia. But now throwing a true freshman to the Wolves as the guy at running back against the Tennessee front that had some blips in the radar in the last 2 weeks in terms of run defense, but is one of the best fronts in the country and has defended the run extremely well all season. So this phrase keeps coming back around. Tennessee's defensive line has to be champing at the bit for this week. I mean, I say that, kind of tongue-in-cheek, but seriously.
I feel like you're just antagonizing.
No, but again, that was already Tennessee's biggest advantage coming into this game, was that front seven against Georgia and their inability to run the football and the ability to force them into third and longs and pin your ears back against Carson Beck, the best edge rusher in the SEC, arguably, in James Pierce, going after Carson Beck, who's had all the turnover issues in the last 3 games. So this is setting the table for Tennessee to be able to lean into that advantage, and that is completely separate from whether or not Nico Iamaleava plays. I mean, that advantage exists regardless of whether or not number 8 is on the field.
Since we're talking running backs, we may as well mention that there was a Thursday night football game played last night. It was pretty tough, though. I mean, and I like that Kirk Herbstreit made this point on the broadcast in the Commies 18-26 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles last night. When is the last time the Washington football franchise has played for anything meaningful in a November game, a November primetime game against a divisional opponent? So, even
Jay Gruden as the coach?
Right. Even though it was a slog and Jaden Daniels did not continue to cover himself in glory. He's had 2 back-to-back performances that were tough, though. The Steelers' defense is good. Philadelphia's defense was playing very, very well last night. That was a big deal. No moral victories for Washington, but I thought it was a nice note because I was also sitting there watching that game being like, oh, this is tough to watch. It's just another, slog of an NFC East game in a primetime slot. And Saquon Barkley was excellent.
Star of the show. Broke
through late, which is why I mentioned the running backs. 146 yards, 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns to put Philadelphia over the top. It was that's a big step for a team that's been down tremendous for a long, long time and is now playing meaningful games in November.
Absolutely. Kirby shouted out 2012, the last time Washington played meaningful games at this time of year.
RG3?
His rookie year, right? 2012 would have been.
No, not
before RG3.
Yeah.
Would that have been RG3's Heisman winning season at Baylor? Right around then. But
we will work to
but it has been that long, over a decade. So I know that the headline is Saquon Barkley being awesome, and he is now the NFL's rushing leader, understanding Henry has not played yet this weekend. But would be remiss not to talk about the Commanders and just watching that game and watching them play for the top spot in the division in year 1 of Dan Quinn. New owner, new GM, new coach, new quarterback, overhauled roster. Do you think people like Dan Snyder, who has been the biggest reason for all of Washington's woes over the last X amount of years that he's owned the team, I truly wonder if Dan Snyder has that self-awareness to be watching what's happening in Washington and say, oh, yeah, I really was the problem. Or is there so much hubris there, you think, that he doesn't even think of it that way? I am so legitimately curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to act like I know this guy personally, so it would be, maybe ill-advised for me to speak on that, but does he strike you as a particularly self-aware human being?
No, not necessarily.
I mean, does he not strike you as one of the most combative human beings to ever own a professional sports franchise where he's, trying to bully and demean various people who are thinking about considering legal action against him, pressuring Roger Goodell, being like, if you try and run me out, I will release the tapes of whatever he's got. I mean, let's not act like Dan Snyder just because he's gone. Let's not make him a sympathetic.
No, just something I was thinking about last night.
Some people can just be bad people.
Yes, that is so true. The Eagles are the story, though, right? And Saquon Barkley was the story last night. All the clips of John Mara from Hard Knocks saying, I'm not going to be able to sleep at night if Saquon Barkley is a Philadelphia Eagle, as tough. He is having just an incredible season. But how about the Eagles' turnaround from last year, just cratering after a phenomenal start to the season and getting blown out in the wild card round, a 2-2 start this year. People wanted Nick Sirianni fired.
Oh, he was fighting with Philadelphia fans in the stands.
Literally having shouting matches.
Well, not literally.
Not like fist fighting.
He was literally having shouting matches, but not physically getting
No. Verbal.
That would not be too far afield for Philadelphia, I feel like.
It would be on brand.
You saw a coach swing at a fan.
But man, what a turnaround. And now they sit at the top of the NFC East. They're one of the hottest teams in the NFL that we're not really talking about that much. I mean, they're what? A game back of the Lions? for the 1 seed
Yeah.
in the NFC.
I mean, it's turned into, again, it's never been more feast or famine in the NFL, or at least not in the last, I would say, decade of professional football, where there's just a clear and obvious separation between the really good teams, and there are several really good teams this year, and everything else is just kind of fallen behind with 3 and 4 and 5 maybe wins, or if you're the Tennessee Titans, 2 wins, though there are still several teams in that category as well. 615-737-1045 if you want to jump in. If you want to come hang out, Hattie B's is open for business. The factory at Franklin location is where you can get their excellent breakfast menu, and we are out here for their 1-year anniversary today if you want to stop by for breakfast or for lunch, because I'm quite certain that Lucas is going to make his way through the entirety of both menus.
Oh, yeah, maybe even the Thanksgiving menu. There's also some cool stuff Hattie B's is doing with Jeffrey Simmons charity for Thanksgiving that we need to get to today.
Oh, I didn't know about that. Well, we will discuss that here in just a little while. Coming up next, though, Georgia and Tennessee, what are the vibes? 2022 versus 2024. This is a road trip that is difficult no matter what the circumstance. It's an elimination game for Georgia at Sanford Stadium this weekend, so we'll check the vibes coming up next. Welcome back to the show. We are live from Hattie B's at the factory in Franklin. If you listen to the show, you know we are also fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, 615-737-1045. Good to see Anthony and Nick Bishop Jr. out here hanging out. We are here throughout the duration of the show. You can come and get some lunch, heat you up on this. This is really the first kind of like day where I'm outside and I feel like, I need a jacket. Yesterday, a little bit too.
It's a little crispy.
A little crispy, but we like it. Feels like fall. It's taken long enough to get there. So heat yourself up if you're feeling that chill at any of the Hattie B's locations. But if you want to come schlep it with us, you can do it at the factory in Franklin today. We will be here all day long all show long for their 1-year anniversary. And you can come get not just the hot chicken, but the hot chicken merch, which is 10 out of 10, if I say so myself. This game between Tennessee and Georgia, feeling like it should be highly competitive. I don't know how explosive either offense is going to be necessarily in this game, because let's do a vibe check. And I'd ask the audience out there listening, 615-737-1045, whether you be a Georgia fan, a Tennessee fan, just a general SEC football fan, what are the vibes? Because this is the marquee game on ESPN. You can hear it, of course, on 104.5 The Zone on Saturday night. I feel like this is going to be sloppy, because you were doing Matt Murphy's show yesterday, Home and Home. Did he ask you about any of the cabinet appointments like I asked him to?
No. He knew that.
Disappointing.
He wouldn't even be able to put me on the spot because my ignorance would just shine right through. So, no, we kept it to football.
Murphy made you make a game prediction, because that's something that I will cringe a little bit if we ever do. But that's fine. Different folks, different strokes, the whole deal. You said that you picked Tennessee, or you would be picking Tennessee, what was it, 27-24?
Yeah, a little high.
Murphy flipped the script on you and said, well, I'll take Georgia by the same score. I texted you immediately and said, neither of these offenses are scoring 27 points in this game. What's wrong with you? Why are you being such a homer about your football team?
Three
Explain
defensive
yourself.
touchdowns.
Okay,
That's the only way. No, you're right. He put me on the spot with the score prediction, and I just blurted that out.
You panicked. We never do these. I don't know how to do it.
And then afterwards, I said, it would be pretty surprising if either team scored 24 or more points. The over-under on this game last I saw was in that kind of 48 range, and I'll look it up now. And even that feels slightly high for the way both of these offenses have played. Defense kind of the star of the show. Defense is what spurred Georgia against Texas and put the offense in advantageous situations that they were able to take advantage of in Austin. I will say, though, Ramon has been brimming with confidence this week. Josh Pate came in studio yesterday, and he instilled some confidence in me with the matchups that Tennessee can win and just the struggles Carson Beck has had in the last few games. So I think I might be more confident this year than I even was in 2022, where Tennessee was going into Athens undefeated. Tennessee was number one, top 3 matchup. It was pretty fresh off that first college football playoff ranking that had the Vols number 1 following the win over Bama. And in that game, we saw the gap between Tennessee and Georgia. In the trenches, in that season, Tennessee receivers had been running in the open field all year long, right? And then you put Keely Ringo on Cedric Tillman and those Georgia defensive backs on Jalen Hyatt and shut them down in a way that Tennessee had not seen that year. So I do think that gap is a little closer now, both because Tennessee has taken some strides forward, and we've seen the drop-off with Georgia and the drop-off in depth, especially up front.
Oh, yeah. That's where the brimming confidence comes from, or the, steadfast confidence in what it is that Tennessee is going to be able to do here, which, speaking of which, Jackson, let's hear from Josh Pate as a part of yesterday's show. He was on with us in the 10 o'clock hour. If you missed it, it's an excellent interview to get you ready for not just that game, but plenty of games of import in Week 12 of the college football season, and also whether he would be the college football commissioner or be the chair of the college football playoff selection committee. I thought that was a particularly good answer by Pate yesterday. You check it out in the podcast. Josh Pate speaking about whomst he trusts more at quarterback between Nico Iamaleava and Carson Beck. Which quarterback do you trust more right now?
Nico. I trust Nico Iamaleava more. I trust the overall.
Carson Beck is a fifth-year college football player, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And regressed.
Just making sure.
And he's regressed. I trust the system that Nico's in more. I trust the guys who were calling the plays for him more. I trust where his head is at more, and I trust his supporting cast more. So I trust him more.
Well, that is quite definitive, and not just because Nico has made progress, but because Carson Wentz, slip of the tongue, Freudian slip. Carson Beck.
There have been some Wentzian tendencies.
No, he hasn't done anything. Wentzian is trying to throw a football after moving it from your right hand to your left hand, rolling away in your own end zone as somebody slings you down for a pick six. That is a Wentzian interception. I haven't seen, unless I've missed something. Carson Beck hasn't done anything quite that catastrophic, but he's not playing well, and he has turned the ball over, right? We're coming off a game where Georgia did not score an offensive touchdown, and where he did not have a passing touchdown, obviously, in that 28-10 loss against Ole Miss. And Ole Miss is a good team. Losing by double digits there, you hate to kind of give Georgia credit for a quality loss, but it is a quality loss. It would be any argument for a 3-loss SEC team like Georgia, theoretically, staying in the college football playoff picture down the stretch. We'll see how all that plays out. But vibes are good for a couple of different reasons that you just laid out, because Tennessee is more up than they have been, and Georgia is more down than they have been. And that's why it feels so critical for Tennessee, at least from my expectation. You tell me how you feel about this, but I'm looking at you, just like we talked about with that Alabama game, and saying, okay, yeah, you go win the game. Like, you should win this game. There shouldn't be any real hand-wringing about this situation. Georgia is a 10-point favorite at home. I understand that. Sanford Stadium is probably going to respond to Kirby. I mean, I don't know. Is it outright chiding them about, are you guys still in it? Are you guys still with us? Like, trying to make sure that the fan base doesn't get too spoiled, too accustomed to kind of cruising through opponents like Tennessee, because that's what happened the last time that they saw Tennessee at home.
Well, that's a big part of it, is that intangible. There's a couple intangibles. Athens, right? Sanford Stadium. A lot of the discussion in the lead up to 2022, we had Josh Dobbs in studio. Little did we know that just a few weeks later, he'd be the starting quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. But at the time, he was a Detroit Lion, I believe, or a Cleveland Brown.
No, I think he was a Brown on a bye week.
Either way, he was in studio with us, and he said that Sanford Stadium was one of the more underwhelming environments that he played in his Tennessee career. I remember Eric Ainge was saying that as well over in Knoxville on our sister station, over on the Sports Animal in Knoxville, and that was a lot of the talk. Sanford Stadium's nothing. They heard that down there, and they responded. Sanford Stadium was rocking in 2022. It clearly had an effect.
Oh, yeah, our Dobbs thing was everywhere.
Absolutely. It clearly had an effect. Georgia fans heard that and responded, and it impacted Tennessee in that game. So you're not hearing that this year, right? Nobody's saying, Sanford Stadium's nothing to play. No, Sanford Stadium is not a crowd that you want to energize with that type of bulletin board material. That's one intangible. Number two is just a Kirby Smart game on getting this Georgia team back up off the mat the way that he did after the loss to Alabama, and how they played in Austin, smothering Texas, especially in that first half. I mean, Texas benched Quinn Ewers in that game and then put him back in. I mean, that's how much they were scrambling for answers. So those are the two things that you wonder about, where, Georgia's coming up short in all these areas, but Sanford Stadium and just Kirby Smart motivating his team, doing Kirby Smart things, is a big piece of this. How does that impact the game? You look at the area where Tennessee has improved most in regards to how far they were from Georgia in the last few years, and that's the ability to run the football. We already talked about Georgia not really being able to run. Trevor Etienne out. That's a big deal. But Tennessee has not been able to run for more than 100 yards in a game against Georgia, with the exception of last season where they ran for 130. That's because Jalen Wright broke a 75-yard touchdown on the first play from scrimmage. From there, Tennessee had 55 rush yards. And the Vols averaged just over 2 yards per carry in the 2022 game against Georgia. Tennessee's the number one rushing attack in the SEC. Dylan Sampson's having an incredible season. And Georgia's front can stop the run. I mean, to make no mistake. But that is the area where Tennessee has made the most strides by far since they last went down to Athens. Can they impact the game? Can they stay ahead of the sticks and control the game by running the football? That is my biggest question here. Can you use your biggest strength in Athens on Saturday in a way that you've not been able to against Georgia in the Heupel era.
Did you say how many rushing yards Georgia was allowing per game before I repeat something Tom Pelissero style?
No. It's
Don't look at my screen and sheet. What are they ranked?
in the SEC?
No, in college football.
And rush yards allowed per game?
Rushing yards allowed per game.
I would guess.
Or, excuse me, rushing yards per game as an offense.
Oh, they're outside of the top 100. Right. Yeah, no, absolutely.
They are 104. They are the third highest ranked rushing offense in the state of Georgia.
Yeah.
Behind Georgia Tech and Georgia Southern.
Yeah.
So that's where the state of Georgia offensive football is right now at this point. We're hanging out at Hattie B's at the factory in Franklin. They're celebrating their 1-year anniversary out here. There's balloons. They're not for us. It's for Hattie B's 1-year anniversary out here at the factory in Franklin, which, by the way, if you're not doing anything on your lunch break, you have some time to come get some hot chicken, this is a great place to do some Christmas shopping.
Oh, yeah.
I was just texting her. I'm about to text Grace and be like, hey, what do we need or what do you need for Christmas presents? Because this is an excellent place to get a couple of those things checked off your list while you stop by here for lunch.
Absolutely. I got a ton of Christmas shopping done last year when we were out here around Thanksgiving time at the factory. So come get your breakfast or your lunch or both and get your Christmas shopping done.
So what are the vibes around Kirby Smart right now? Because we're looking at a void, right? This year in college football where Nick Saban is still a very big presence in the world of college football, but he's doing it on the other side. He's doing it from the game day desk these days where it's, arguably it might be a more powerful place for him to impact college football, ironically enough. We'll see how all that plays itself out.
Definitely more lucrative for Nick Saban.
I would
somehow.
agree. It's crazy how the media jobs are erased for people like Tom Brady and Nick Saban. But either way, so we talked about this before the season started, right? And this feels like a good opportunity to kind of swing back around to the conversation. Who fills the space that Nick Saban leaves behind on the coaching front of college football? And the answer doesn't have to be just one person. In this, who's speaking from the podium on a regular basis on behalf of all coaches, not just himself. That's what Nick Saban was for a lot of people, not just because most of the coaches or a lot of coaches in some form or fashion have connections to Nick Saban, for as many people have gotten jobs from Alabama to go other places and have had success like a Kirby Smart. But how has Kirby kind of managed that level of scrutiny, do you think? Because I think he's one of the natural people to look at and say, okay, it's your thing now. You're the head of one of the most successful, if not the most successful college football program going at this point. And this seems like a particularly big game to highlight for both him and his fan base's confidence in him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'd be fascinated to know what the conversation around Kirby is if Georgia is to lose this game. Now, Nick Saban...
You think there's a change, like a legitimate change, if they in how Kirby's talked about if they lose this Tennessee game?
I think
if they miss the college football playoff as a result. It's not just about losing to Tennessee.
I think there's always going to be the message board crazies that say he's lost his touch and it's all downhill from here. But when in reality, it's probably more of just a statement on the state of college football right now.
By the way, why don't we do more with the message board stuff? Why you've been holding out on me, like trying to educate me on the world of college football. Like this is untapped gold.
It really is. It is. Just go peruse Vol Facebook for a few minutes.
No, I value my face. My face. It's like an acid bath.
But we should make that a segment. Just Vol Facebook comments this week or something like that.
Well, only if we're reading them ourselves and not leaving them up to people.
But Nick Saban was this de facto, everybody turned to him because he's Nick Saban, right? And he has this commanding presence, but also because he was in charge of the most dominant program in college football for X amount of years, for over a decade at Alabama. So we naturally looked to him. When he had something to say about the sport, we listened because his team was the one that was literally winning a champion, that players coming through never went 4 straight years without a national championship in a 15-year run, which is insanity. So we don't have that now. Kirby has the most established recent success of the active coaches, but I wonder if we're going to have that one go-to coach to look at, because what we're seeing this year is there is not that one stand above the rest, elite program, standard cream of the crop. And I don't know, is that just a this year thing? Is that more on the state of college football with the portal and NIL and parity being kind of divvied out Is it somewhere in the middle? Are we going to see some separation as teams get used to this new era? Like a Saban probably would have at Alabama.
No, it's fair, but like the thing about Saban and Bama that's different now, not just because he's gone, but because as you described, the landscape has changed. There's no dynastic opportunities really, the way that Alabama dominated not just on the playing field but recruiting. I mean, Alabama had its pick of whomever, not just as starters, but as backups to make sure that they could continue to roll the five-star talent out there because players didn't have the mobility that they currently do, nor the leverage that they currently do in NIL situations that they did during the majority of Nick Saban's career, dominating the world of college football, which kind of created this emperor of college football persona for Nick Saban beyond him just being great, right? He's obviously great, but I think he's also a product. His success is also a product of the era that he coached during, where we just simply might not be able to make a dynasty like that anymore in college football. Like, teams will have success, teams will be able to sustain, but it's never been more fraught with chaos than it is right now. There are some things that may even out in the next couple of years because this is all very new, right? This whole 12-team college football playoff thing is just here this year. And you see the impact of everything having effects like programs like Indiana being relevant, not even in the top 5, but just being generally relevant that you would never have thought about. Imagine Indiana playing trap games that they're not the team to try and trap the good team, right? In an Indiana-Michigan game, things like that. So I don't know if it ever just has to be a one-person solution to who takes Nick Saban's kind of mantle there. It may not be.
Well, it started to be Kirby because Kirby built up Georgia in a very similar way that Saban built up Alabama, of which Kirby was a big part of, obviously. But that brings us back to this Georgia-Tennessee game. Why do these teams seem closer together in depth and talent than they were a couple of years ago? Because the landscape has changed in that way. Even in 2022, Georgia was still in that mode with the depth stacked in a way that you just hit the refresh button and the talent hardly dropped off. That's not the case anymore. And, I mean, there's so many different examples of Georgia losing players to other schools in the portal that were seeking more playing time or were seeking a better situation simply because they have the option, right? Losing a linebacker to Kentucky or whatever it might be. So, yes, that is absolutely a part of why we're looking at this game as a much more even keel, where Tennessee is the higher-ranked team. I know they were in 2022 as well, but Tennessee, you could argue, has displayed less flaws this year than Georgia has. The turnover-prone quarterback, the inability to run the football, right? And they've had some lapses defensively. They're still a very good defensive team. And in large part, I think that is because of how the landscape has changed. Georgia probably still a more top-to-bottom talented team if you're looking at things like recruiting rankings. And it could go either way on Saturday. And nobody will be surprised if Georgia comes out and again, does what they did against Texas. And you're like, oh, yeah, there's Georgia. There you go. But the fact that it's not as consistent as it was, where they were just a machine, just sending people away week after week after week, is probably a product of the landscape of the sport right now.
One could say that Georgia is about to flock around and find out.
I hope so. I just hope they don't have as much fun as we're having today at Hattie B's.
Thank you for helping me plug the T-shirt that you're wearing. Shop.hattieb.com is where you can get some of the fine merch that we've got on today as you're listening to us talk about Georgia and Tennessee. It's one of several games this weekend that is going to have a huge level of impact on the college football playoff picture. We mentioned Indiana. Indiana's off this weekend as the number 5 team in the country. They'll next play Ohio State, so obviously that. And even how teams like Ohio State or Indiana impact the rankings, whether they take a dip based on the results of this weekend just by not playing. Like, I think that the committee, as we talk about a level of consistency that does not exist from these people who are gathered around, what did Pate say yesterday? Stale Danish, just waiting for a timer to expire so that they can leave the room and act like they've done something of great importance.
Let's see, who will Michigan give a big win to this week? Northwestern. Northwestern. No, that's
Northwestern.
Next week. Now, Michigan's off this weekend.
Off this week.
Nobody can get the big resume-building win. What's Ward Manuel going to do? What is his reason going to be for moving teams up and down? Oh, well, they beat Michigan back in week 5. We just look back at that. Just a really impressive win, and we felt like they should be moved up to the top 5 for that reason.
Well, we will see what plays out here. We mentioned that we're wearing Hattie B's swag because we're hanging out at Hattie B's at the factory in Franklin. You can come hang out, too. Speaking of Georgia Bulldogs, former Georgia center, former Titan center, Ben Jones, will be out here. We're going to talk mostly college ball with Ben, fair to expect, because if there's one person I feel like I can count on to be confident no matter what about this, because you got Pate telling Georgia fans they should kind of tuck tail. You got Murphy already tuck tail.
He is.
Yesterday, based on your interaction, like preparing themselves for a big come down. I don't know how reflective that is of the rest of the fan base. I don't know Georgia fans to be a meek bunch, but maybe that's recency bias.
Ben's going to show some confidence in his boys, that's for sure.
One would think so. 615-737-1045, the number. Coming up next, do you have a stat of the day?
I sure do.
I'm Buck Rising. It's 1045 The Zone.
Oh, we've talked about this Tennessee-Georgia game in so many different ways, but here's one that we have not talked about. This is a weakness that was popping up early in the season for Tennessee that you kind of took note of and then thought that needs to be better if they want to get back to that offense that we were seeing closer to the 2022 level, and that is red zone offense. So the SEC stat of the day, Tennessee is only 26 of 48 in scoring touchdowns in the red zone. That is a percentage of 57%. Where do you think they were at? Just give me an approximate percentage in 2022 on scoring touchdowns when getting inside the opponent's 20.
You know, that's a good question because they had so many explosives that it makes me think, well, I mean, yeah, they had a running game, so they're getting into the red zone. It's not like that would be overwhelmingly skewed. But I would say they would at least be in the top 25 of college football programs, whereas now they're, lingering around like 103, 102?
They were about 80% in 2022 of getting in the end zone when inside the 20-yard line.
Which this year would be the sixth best red zone scoring offense. The Kansas Jayhawks just behind number 5 Indiana.
Yep. Yeah, credit where it's due. Man, Kansas, what a weird team this year.
They're not having a great season.
No, they're not, but at times they're electric, and they just ran Iowa State off the field last weekend. So they're a perplexing team. Upset alert, Kansas has an interesting game this week that we'll talk about. We got college football playoff implication talk. They play BYU tomorrow night, late kickoff at BYU. Just something to keep an eye on. Anyway, Tennessee, only 57% in scoring touchdowns in the red zone. Georgia is 25 of 37, so it's not that much better. They've had less opportunity than Tennessee. Tennessee, again, 26 of 48. So got to be better there. When points are at a premium, when the field shrinks, they've just been unable to find just a one consistent target there. And I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't seen Brew McCoy pop up more in that spot. Or I will say, though, when Tennessee gets inside the 10, their touchdown conversion is fantastic because then Dylan Sampson just hammers it in, and it's part of his 20 touchdowns, single-season program record he's got this year. So conversely, that's hugely important for Georgia as well because in Georgia's most impressive win this year at Texas, each of their first 3 scores in that game, when they got off to a 17-0 lead, came on drives that began inside the Texas 35-yard line. Interceptions, fumbles, one good punt return that got them down there. So that was a huge part of that game. Trevor Etienne, by the way, had 3 touchdowns in that game. He's not playing tomorrow. Tennessee's got to be able to do 2 things. We understand, run the football, keep leaning into that strength, but must be better in scoring touchdowns in the red zone. Points are at a premium, and you have to avoid giving Georgia the ball in plus territory. I mean, it's a Georgia offense that struggled. Do not give them any help, and that's something that Tennessee's got to avoid. It's a big reason why Georgia got onto a path of smothering Texas and beating them on the road in their biggest win this year.
So you attribute that as much to the quarterback difference, citing 2022 versus what's happening now with Tennessee specifically in the red zone. Like it's as much Hendon Hooker as it is anything. If for no other reason than Hendon Hooker had to be respected, not just because of what he's going to do as a passer, but because of his mobility. Hendon had such an innate ability. How many rushing touchdowns did he have in 2022 off the top of your head?
Great question. I don't remember off the top of my head. Maybe like 9 or 10. He definitely had. They utilized him in the run game a whole lot more than they do Nico. I'd be surprised to see them with all these designed quarterback runs for Nico on Saturday after getting dinged up with a concussion. But the offense is also different this year. It's more of a ball control type of offense. They're not trying to get out and score in 3 plays. I'm sure they'd love to do that in some settings, but they're a much more balanced team across the board as well. But there's no question red zone scoring has been a struggle, and they've got to get off to better starts than they've been doing in the first quarter.
It would be tough for us to get off to a better start this morning than to come to Hattie B's, which is where we are now at the factory in Franklin. We got our buddy Nick Bishop Jr. hanging out here with us. Who is responsible for this show's association with this fine chicken establishment. Have you regretted your decision at all in the last, what is this, a year? A year plus?
Yeah.
A year for you guys at the factory in Franklin. Congratulations. I heard happy birthday being sung. I assume it wasn't to any one of us. I assume that I forgot Kirby's birthday for a second, to be honest with you.
It was not for it was not for the store. It was for one of our employees who's been here for years. That was cool.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah.
So again, have you regretted your decision, your association with us? Because you can pull the plug on this at any point.
No.
Don't let Becky hear that.
gone.
I want to make sure that
Becky's gone.
offer our guy Nick, enough reasonable advice to where he at least felt I was being upfront with him.
You guys have always, honestly, I was telling Becky this. We sponsor the show first and foremost because I'm a big fan of it, but also you guys are the best in town and do a great job, and you guys always communicate and text and show up and support us at events of ours. It's it's become a friendship as much as anything, and I'm grateful for that. It's pretty cool.
Hell yeah! So what are your thoughts on the way that the college football season has gone? I know that you got a Vanderbilt rooting interest. I know that you guys have had a good relationship with Clark Lee, and that Hattie B's has had a good relationship with Vanderbilt.
Yep.
Over the years, what have you made of what they've been able to do this college football season?
It's been so much fun. I'm an Auburn fan at heart, so I've abandoned them.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's been horrible.
How did that work for you the other week when Vandy went down to the Plains?
This is live. Yeah, I was the anchor down, man. All day. Yeah. It's hard not to be excited about that. Just watching how hard they fight each week, and I mean I said it to a buddy the other day, if they ever could make the playoff, they would give every single one of those teams a run for their money. They may not win it, but they could definitely hang in there, and that's been fun to watch. It's not Vanderbilt of old, so yeah, anchor down.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So Thanksgiving is right around the corner. I'm curious about when you guys started, because we've been talking about the Thanksgiving catering. You have until Wednesday, by the way, to go to hattieb.com, order it, and it's not hot chicken on Thanksgiving, right? It's turkey, it's carrot souffle, it's whipped potatoes, all the things that people would normally be cooking just
carrot
without.
Souffle sounds delightful.
Incredible. Bishop's carrot souffle. I mean, handmade, homemade. Where do you guys make that
from
stuff?
the Meat and Three?
Yeah.
Spot? Okay.
Yeah, from
awesome.
Bishop's. Yeah. So where does all that originate, and kind of how did that idea pop up for you guys?
I think the idea was just we love being a part of families' traditions, and we're all kind of a family, and so Thanksgiving is really a big place to kind of sit around a table and come together, and the thought of being a part of somebody's sort of yearly thing and being on their table and feeding their families was a cool thing. And I think we've been doing it for 6 years now, and it's grown every year, but we fry these no, we've been doing it longer than that, but we fry whole birds, so this is big, beautiful whole turkey, and give the chicken a break for a day. And but all the sides are great. We've got and then we've got kind of some apps and snacks, and the menu's evolved and grown, and the families that we get to be a part of have grown, and so that's just pretty awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I almost killed the people that I was cooking for one time because I was not aware of how to cook a turkey.
You tried to fry one?
No, I tried to.
Okay.
I just tried to do the turkey in the oven, and I ended up, almost giving us salmonella. So that was a great reason for me to do the Hattie B's thing for Thanksgiving, because I don't want to endanger people's well-being, which is also a great reason. Not just, for Hattie B's to be a part of your family experience, but also to spare your loved ones your cooking if you are just being experimental with it like I was.
Well, also you see these horror stories of people almost burning their houses down trying to fry their own turkey, and
that's a bad idea.
Yeah, bad idea. Fried turkey, best way to consume a turkey on Thanksgiving. Just let you guys do it, right?
It's a lot of work. Yeah. I mean, Thanksgiving in general is a whole lot of work, and even if it's just getting some sides or just the bird, one less thing that's on your on your plate that we can put on your plate is makes it a little bit easier for everybody.
Well, buddy, thanks for having us out. Congratulations on 1 year. Happy birthday to whomever's birthday it is.
Who is it? Can we shout him out?
Leandra.
Happy birthday, Leandra.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to Leandra.
Yeah.
So it's always good to be hanging out here at Hattie B's at the factory in Franklin, and not just for the chicken swag. It's legit. We got Lucas in some swag. I've got the beanie on. It's a chilly day outside. There are Shut the Cluck Up hats. Shop.hattieb.com. Kirby has a sweater on.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a good look.
That's a retro one.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Look at you.
We got to fit you guys out, fitted and kitted.
Kirby, I mean, honestly, if you go to shop.hattieb.com, you might just get fitted and kitted yourself. 615-737-1045 is the number. Coming up next, we will continue to talk some Vols in Georgia, because we will be talking about college football playoff implications for Week 12. I'm Buck Rising. It's 1045 The Zone.
do. It is 11 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Eagles held off the Commanders for a 26-18 win on Thursday Night Football, taking the top spot in the NFC East. Saquon Barkley with 146 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, plus 52 yards receiving. Barkley is currently the NFL's lead rusher. Of course, Derrick Henry will take the field again on Sunday. The Predators fell in overtime last night at the Edmonton Oilers, 3-2 to drop to 5-9-3. They'll stay north of the border tonight at the Calgary Flames, an 8 p.m. puck drop. The Titans return home to host the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday. Corner L'Jarius Sneed and offensive tackle Leroy Watson did not practice on Thursday. Brian Callahan will update injuries later today. And number 7, Tennessee visits number 12, Georgia, Saturday at Sanford Stadium. The Vols quarterback Nico Iamaleava listed as questionable again on Thursday as he works through concussion protocol. Georgia running back Trevor Etienne has been ruled out. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Number 2 off and rolling here at the factory at Franklin, where we're hanging out because, we're fueled by Hattie B's, so why not be at Hattie B's? Their 1-year anniversary out here at their Franklin location. Of course, if you're thinking about lunch here in the very near future, you can think about Hattie B's, a great way to warm up on this chilly Middle Tennessee day. Thanks for hanging out here with us. We're happy to have you. 615-737-1045. F&M Bank chat also at your disposal, to where you can see the chicken swag that we've got on today at Hattie B's. Lucas sporting a flock around and find out hot chicken t-shirt. Shop.hattieb's.com. Great holiday. A very cozy aesthetic to the chicken merch. I think it would make a great holiday gift.
And it doesn't have to be a Christmas gift. It could be a Thanksgiving gift. Can we give gifts on Thanksgiving?
You know what? The hoodie and jogger combo that I saw on the website would be the perfect post-Thanksgiving football cozy vibe aesthetic that you would be going for.
Yeah, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to help celebrate Thanksgiving season. Every year I get more and more tired of the premature jumping the gun of Christmas music and Christmas cheer. Give Thanksgiving its due. I'm sorry, it doesn't get enough respect. It's the best holiday with the food, with the football. Everything about Thanksgiving gets overlooked because we're ready to put up our Christmas trees on November 1st, right after Halloween. I love you, Mariah Carey, but I don't want to hear you right now. You sweet, sweet angel. Wait until after Thanksgiving.
She's coming to Bridgestone. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
She's on her holiday tour. And also, she just got usurped off the top 100 with the holiday song by Jason Kelce.
Oh, really? What did he do a cover of?
I can't remember exactly what it is, but the Philadelphia Eagles offensive linemen are doing an annual Christmas album now. And I want to say it's him and a duet with a lead singer whose name escapes me. You're going to get mad at me. What's Pate's favorite band?
Fleetwood Mac. Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks.
I am going to get mad at you.
See, I knew. At least I'm self-aware.
Well, who's going to flock around and find out this weekend in college football?
Georgia. We talked about it. That's what's on the table. No pun intended for this particular weekend in Week 12. That's the marquee game with Tennessee going down to Sanford Stadium to take on Georgia. Wounded Animal Georgia trying to fight their way out of college football playoff implication elimination. This is a must-win game in Athens, but we have spent a good deal of time on that, and we will spend yet more time on it with Ben Jones here in just a little bit, who is preparing for Hattie B's today by running the steps, the steps at Percy Warner Park.
Oh yeah. Over in Bellevue.
Yeah, that sounds like hell. I would rather just eat the chicken.
I love it. I love that he's preemptively getting ready to come demolish some hot chicken.
Yeah, well, unlike us, Ben wants to earn it.
Yes.
So we'll look forward to Ben Jones, former Georgia and Titan center, here with us at Hattie B's in just a little while. But where else are you looking at as the games with biggest college football playoff implications this weekend? It's a lot of interesting moving parts right now with the way that Georgia dropped, with the way that Indiana and BYU went up, with the way that Ohio State continues to maintain with Oregon the top of the rankings at this point. Oregon number 1 and Ohio State there at 2. This is a huge weekend for teams trying to maintain their position. And what can a team like Alabama do to the point where they're currently scheduled to play a playoff game in Bloomington, Indiana?
Yeah.
Which would be a stark departure from whatever, domed stadium, neutral site that they're accustomed to playing college football playoff games in. Bloomington in January, or rather in December, is not a fun time.
There are not any, marquee billboard type of matchups outside of Tennessee, Georgia. College Game Day is there. Cody Rhodes is going to be the guest picker. Luke Bryan did it 2 years ago. But you have some, upset alerts kind of sprinkled in around the weekend. And I'm looking at Notre Dame, who is hosting Virginia. Virginia gave Clemson a game last week, and obviously that would drop Notre Dame out. I think a lot of people would like to see that. There are a couple of teams that any 10-2 SEC team should want to lose, just to give you that sort of safety net if we do get into that chaos scenario of 6, 7, 10-2 SEC teams. Notre Dame is one of those, and it's hard for that to not feel plausible with what happened against Northern Illinois. To their credit, they've been a buzzsaw against everybody they've played since that disaster against Northern Illinois, but they have yet to earn that benefit of the doubt of just having that confidence that Notre Dame's going to take care of business of the team that's in front of them no matter what. They play Virginia this weekend. And then every group of 5 team that is sort of lingering behind Boise State is wanting Boise State to slip up. Right now, Boise obviously is that favorite to be the G5 automatic bid into the 12-team playoff. The second highest ranked G5 team is Army. They play Notre Dame next week. Tulane is sitting there at number 25. They're at Navy this weekend, and they're hoping that Boise slips up when they go to San Jose State. Could be a pesky game. San Jose State, has been at least interesting this year. We'll see if Ashton Genty continues his absolute tear throughout the course of the regular season.
I hope so. I'd like a little diversity in the Heisman Trophy finalists this year.
I think so. I think we're
positional diversity.
Starting to see. Yeah, I think you're starting to see guys separate themselves. But the 11 a.m. slate has Texas at Arkansas and Utah at Colorado. Pate told us, I think it was off the air yesterday, that if he wasn't able to go to Tennessee, Georgia for whatever reason, or if that game wasn't happening, he'd have his eye on Utah at Colorado. Obviously, that would be a huge win, according to the playoff committee, right? BYU escaped. They snatched victory from the jaws of defeat against a 5-loss Utah team, and that was clearly enough to jump Tennessee into the top 6 of the college football playoff rankings. So, Ward Manuel, what say you if Colorado knocks off Utah? How far does number 17 Colorado go up the rankings after that big win? I'm still bitter.
I think it's the combination of his name, Ward Manuel, and the phrase "What say you?" I have a mental.
What say you, Ward?
I have a mental image of you outraged, but being pretentious, like that one picture we have of you, like staring down the top of your glasses type of image, screaming at Ward Manuel, "What say you? Why have you ranked Tennessee below Indiana and BYU?" Just
have you no honor?
Pretentious outrage, like challenging Ward Manuel to a duel.
Maybe Ward Manuel should worry about the cheating allegations that are just bludgeoning his football program right now. But, who am I to say? Texas at Arkansas, Utah at Colorado.
Lucas's rage scaring small children and Patty B's.
Kind of the two to keep an eye on with that 11 a.m. slate. Arkansas, has just not been lifeless, but they peaked when they beat Tennessee. And there was a really good energy about that team sitting there at 4-2 with a big upset win. And they're 5-4 at this point. They were just dusted by Ole Miss the other week. Ole Miss hanging 56, and I know Ole Miss is playing their best football right now, but we'll see if Arkansas can give Texas a game. That there's a fun rivalry renewed, right? Last time Texas went up there, they lost, and Arkansas stormed the field a couple of years ago. So could be tricky, could be interesting. It also could be chalky all weekend, and we could get a very regular day of college football until Tennessee, Georgia. But typically when we think that's going to happen, quite the opposite happens, and we get some of those, just crazy chaotic scenario. So I wonder if the 11 a.m. slate provides that at all with Utah at Colorado and Texas at Arkansas.
I hope so, because I was reading Bill Connolly on ESPN.com this morning, just kind of going through the implications and things that you might consider, you might not consider as these things go along. With Penn State in particular, that to me feels like that would make sense as the most suspect top 4 team on the road going to Purdue. But they're going to Purdue. Purdue is just terrible. Terrible this year, which gives me such satisfaction to have a college football playoff team in Indiana, too, in Indiana and Notre Dame, and Purdue be left in the dust. So the idea that Penn State would be outright threatened by going to Purdue does not necessarily equate to me that way. But you also, as you mentioned, Ohio State, number 2, at Northwestern, Texas at Arkansas, and Oregon at Wisconsin. None of those top 4. I mean, you can hope for a little college football chaos. That's always in play. Certainly this year more than any other year. But those teams, Wisconsin, Arkansas, Northwestern, and Purdue, maybe Arkansas makes it messy. That would be fun.
There is a piece of me, too, that just wants to see South Carolina just take care of business and beat Missouri, so I don't have to see Eli Drinkwitz in post-game interviews talking about the playoff hunt.
You just don't like his face. I think it's the combination of his face and him with the bowl-bound T-shirts when they're a top 25. What were they at the start of the year? They were like 14?
That's what did it for me was
the bowl-bound T-shirts?
Yeah. After their 6th win, doing bowl-bound T-shirts for a team that won double-digit. And, I never previously had, people got up in arms about Drinkwitz because he liked to talk and say funny things.
No, I think it's that he talks and also his face.
Sure, but he backed it up last year, and I respected that. They had a 10-2 season. They were a good football team last year. They beat Iowa State in a New Year's Six bowl. But come on, man. Have some pride. Bowl bound T-shirts.
Is that the biggest insult you can lob at somebody? Have some pride.
Have some pride. I know Missouri's not this powerhouse program.
The most respectful.
At least
disrespect.
pretend to be. Yeah, my goodness.
615-737-1045. The number, if you hear that in the background, that's because we're at Hattie B's. We're not in studio today. It's a great time. We're having a lot of fun, as we always do. We're at the factory in Franklin. People are starting to file in because the lunch hour is near. So if you don't want to wait in the line, you can also order on the Hattie B's app. It comes with a free dessert if it is your first time ordering via Hattie B's. I've already had several texts since we've been out here today saying that now people are going to have to order Hattie B's for lunch. Why wouldn't you? It's a great thing to have.
Come out and see us.
Anytime. And you can also come see us. Ben Jones will be here with us at noon, and we'll look forward to talking more college football with him in the meantime. Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio. Titans have a game this weekend hosting the Minnesota Vikings. We'll see if the quarterback can continue to make progress, and also some college ball with Coach Mack, because it's a big weekend in the world of that sport, and we know that he's paying close attention doing his weekly show with Coach Doug Matthews as well. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show. We are not only fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, we are at Hattie B's Hot Chicken at the factory in Franklin. A great time had by all. It's also a great time when we can visit with the main man, Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio, here with us on 104.5 The Zone. His visits made possible by the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Of course, that's Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. Titans hosting the Vikings back at home at Nissan Stadium this Sunday, looking to try and get right after a loss to the Chargers. How are you, Mac?
I'm doing good, Buck. I know you guys are having a good time. I know you guys love going out there to Hattie B's, Frank.
Oh, yeah. No, it's always a great time. The factory at Franklin, a great spot. Of course, Hattie B's, excellent. My problem, though, is, Mac, you can't take Lucas anywhere in public, because, especially with food involved, because it's unsightly. It's unsightly what he does to the menu items here at Hattie B's, and I don't want to be associated with him.
No objections.
Well, you're doing no. You're doing a public service, though, of getting Lucas available to be able to go out in public more. So keep working on him.
That's right.
And we're trying to workshop his image. It's not going well.
I'm a growing boy, Mac. I need my chicken.
Allegedly. Coach Mac, of course, on the call with the rest of the Titans radio crew. You can hear coverage of the Titans and the Vikings on 104.5 The Zones come Sunday. Pregame starts at 9 a.m. Mac, progress from the quarterback, incremental. It's baby steps. I know no moral victories in football, but when you're trying to learn things about not just your team's present but also your team's future, it was at least positive to see him come back into the lineups without any egregious errors, yes?
No, that's 100% true. And the thing that you have to do, Buck, I mean, look, you just got to play to who you are and what you are at all times. And the thing that you have to be able to do is when you're doing that, you just look, and especially when you're going through a season where you're not very successful, week in and week out, you've got to continue to keep a vision forward as to what's going on. But you get a challenge like this that's coming in here. You've already watched the tape, and you know what Minnesota is, the challenge that they present. So it's going to be a big one.
And to your point, I mean, it is a challenge, Mac. It doesn't matter how experienced you are in the NFL at the quarterback position with the kind of looks that Brian Flores presents, especially where he's putting, 6 or 7 guys at any one point on the line of scrimmage, not necessarily rushing all of them, right, but at least trying to disguise some of their pressure looks and make the quarterback have to try and adjust as much as humanly possible based on what he's seeing post-snap versus pre.
Yeah, well, let's back up a little bit. I mean, he'll put 8 up there at a time, and also he's not trying to disguise. He is. I mean, he is very intentional, and he may be the best bogey presenter, which is false look in the league. And the other thing is blitzing 57% of the time. He's not just bringing guys up there just to fake it. I mean, he's bringing guys up there. That's in his DNA. It always has been. And he's taking it really, to some really nice levels right now. You've got to have experienced players to be able to do that, because when you're up there like they are on the line of scrimmage, and then you've got to morph out into what your coverage and everything else is, it has to be very, very well synchronized. It has to be very, very well timed out. If you get behind the chains on these people, I mean, it is a tsunami to the quarterback. So you've got to stay out of those down and distances for sure, Buck.
Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio here with us on 104.5 The Zone. His visits made possible by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
Coach, it's so unique, the Vikings, the degree to which they send pressure, and the Titans haven't really seen a team, apart from the Lions, that kind of rank up there in terms of that blitz percentage number in the top 10 in the NFL. And, of course, the Lions were without Aiden Hutchinson. My question is, how unique of a challenge is this for Levis in terms of what he's seen before? Is there anything remotely close to what's going to be thrown at him on Sunday that he maybe has already, had the challenge of in his early NFL career?
Well, no, and really it's not just Levis; it's the whole offensive unit, because everybody's involved. As much as they involved, all 11 people on defense, and as Buck has just pointed out, I mean, there's 7 to 8 guys up there at a time, and they'll do it from first down through third down, and so you've got to be able to sort out what's going on. The thing that they do very, very well, they time it up with the play clock. Very, very, I mean, they are really, really coordinated with the way they do it. Now, look, there's been people that have done this before. I mean, Belichick has changed, defensive looks quite a bit in his career. Greg Williams was really good at it. There's been people that have done, Todd Bowles does it, but to the extent that B-Flow does it, I mean, it is something to watch. We saw it firsthand at Minnesota when we went there and practiced against them before the preseason game on the practice field. So it's deep ingrained in their bones as to what Brian Flores wants to do. So you ask me, has they ever seen anything like this? No, they have not.
Yeah, to your point, Mac, because we did ask Levis about that rookie training camp that they had, or his rookie year, and going up there for joint training camp practices, and him kind of trying to cram the night before to get ready for this Brian Flores defense, and him acknowledging, there's just no way possible that you can get to a point of just general comfort level with a defense like this if you are not studying constantly in preparation for it, no matter how many times you've seen anything that's even remotely similar.
Well, but you remember one of the things, Buck, that came out of that when we came out of there after that preseason game, and that's that week of work with them, that stood out about Tyjae Spears is how well he did at picking up those blitzes.
Yeah.
In practice. Now, it was in a practice situation, but you remember that was a huge talking point coming out of there, because watching it, I visited with Ben Lieber quite a bit, who played up there for a lot of years, that does their radio and does a lot of things for them now after his playing career. And he said, he's been around it and has watched it, and he was a highly successful linebacker in this league too. He said, but the extent and the depth to which they do it, it's pretty unusual.
Coach Dave McGinnis here with us on 104.5 The Zone. So for Levis in particular, Mac, let's talk about the difficulty, because, Titans fans are looking for any proof of concept, right? Not just for him, but for the coaching staff. When you've experienced the level of losses that this team has, you start to, I'm sure you as a fan, you start to question a variety of different things about what's going on. So what would be meaningful progress for Levis on Sunday for you, win or lose? Because it's going to be a pretty big challenge for him at a point where he seems to at least be gaining poise, if nothing else, at this point.
Well, Buck, it's for this offense. You can't put yourself – the first thing you can't do, either by unforced errors, the jumping off sides, those types of things that put you behind the chains. And behind the chains, or anytime you give a defense a metric advantage to behind the chains, it's multiplied because of the way they play defense. So you've got to stay on schedule. So, a 4 and a 5 yard gain against these people on first down is a win, because you're trying to stay out of those situations. And now, if you get in extended down situations, you've got to understand that it's coming at you. So if a pass play is called, the ball has got to come out of your hands. One way or the other, it's got to come out of your hands, because the tsunami that they bring when an offense is behind the chains, it's really, when you start. I've watched 6 games. I've broken down 6 games of them. It's pretty impressive.
Coach Mack, Sam Darnold has been one of the stories of the NFL this season in terms of what he's doing this year, this breakout he's having with the Vikings' second wind of his career. And obviously he's got a great roster assembled around him on offense. Kevin O'Connell is what he is as a play caller. But just what have you made of the Sam Darnold resurgence in 2024 and the way the Vikings have put him in a good position?
Well, first of all, it's great that you mentioned. Look, it takes a while for quarterbacks, some of them, to get Sam Darnold's always had a big arm, and look, it takes a while for those guys at that position to be able to finally fit into the slot and get comfortable with everything that happens in the National Football League. The other thing, look, you talk about the players he's got around him. Look, Jefferson, to me, is the best receiver in the league. T.J. Hawkinson, the tight end, is coming back. Clearly he is surrounded now by some people and a system that is helping him, but also he's got a lot of years of experience in this league, having bounced around, but he's been behind center in a lot of places, has seen a lot of things, and a lot of times when those guys start to mature like that, and you put them in a situation with some good help around them, I think you can kind of see what goes on.
Coach Dave McGinnis here with us on 104.5 The Zone, kind of swinging back to the offense's level of preparation for this defense, Mac. J.C. Latham continues to make progress, and again, you're looking for anything that you can kind of pull from as progress for not just the quarterback, but for the offense as a unit. And JC, I think he had 55 total snaps in that Week 10 game against the Chargers. He's going up against Bud Dupree mostly, which is an experienced pass rusher, and I thought it was one of his better days. I'm not necessarily grading them out the way that the coaching staff is or anything like that, but I wonder if you saw that same level of increased competency.
Yeah, I agree with you, Buck, and I'm not grading them out either. I mean, like a coach, like I did for all the years I coached. That's not what I do now. But just watching it and seeing just progressively during the ball game, you can tell throughout all the week that he and Peter Skoronski both have really, they've advanced in what they're doing. Now, this ball game, it's going to be, the first thing is going to be about ID and who's coming, identifying who's coming, and then, they're only going to be asked to block one person, but IDing that one person that's going to come to them in that area, that's the big key for this week. So let's see how that works out.
Coach, pivoting a little bit to Tennessee, Georgia, big game happening on Saturday. I know you talk about this stuff every week with Coach Doug Matthews on Coach to Coach, which, by the way, people can hear tonight after high school football coverage concludes on 104.5 The Zone. Obviously, it's a monster matchup. Georgia essentially facing elimination. Tennessee trying to stay right in the thick of the playoff race. I heard you talking about this with Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Tennessee and their ability to stop the run this season and how maybe that's faltered a little bit in the last two games, giving up 179 rush yards against Mississippi State and 168 against Kentucky. What is the proper context around those numbers, Coach, on why Tennessee was giving up that yardage? And is that a concern to you at all going into this game where they're trying to go strength on weakness as Georgia's been unable to run the football?
Yeah, well, you're right. And it's two separate issues. First of all, it was run fits against Kentucky, but against Mississippi State, that was the game plan. They were playing 5- and 6-man boxes. They were playing Mississippi State with the fact that they would allow them to run the ball, knowing that Mississippi State was not going to beat them running the ball. But Mississippi State, even where they are in the SEC, they can throw the football enough to beat you and hurt you. So basically what they did is they took people out of the front and out of the first and second levels, put them back there in the third level, put a dome over the explosive passes, and just said, okay, go ahead and run it because you're not going to beat us running the football. And that was what they did then. When I watched the game, when I went back and watched the game rather than just going through it on television, I could see what they were trying to do there. Now, the Kentucky game, that was misfit. And you look, you can't, regardless of how many people you're playing up front, whether it's a 5, 6, or 7-man box, you can't have two people from the second level in the same gap. It doesn't, that won't fly. So this is going to be a completely different game plan defensively for them, I would assume, versus the run against Georgia. So it doesn't concern me a whole lot because the defensive front that they have can handle just about anything. But the game plan against Mississippi State was a little bit to play a little bit of bend on the run game, if you will, and keep the explosives off of the board through the air.
To that point, Mac, and kind of looking at Georgia a little closer, we've had some people talk about Carson Beck in ways that make it seem like he's regressed within this offense, but I wonder if it's just not generally a product of a larger offensive regression that we're seeing have an impact on Carson Beck that way.
Well, I mean, I don't follow Georgia, daily. I don't follow Georgia weekly. I look at Georgia in context of when they're getting ready to play the Vols,
sure,
for the coach to coach show. So I can't really speak with any kind of legitimacy on the background of what he's progressed and gone through. But clearly, the thing that does stick out is Georgia needs to run the football to have some success throwing it. And so, to Lucas's point, you need to play better run defense against these guys, because that is where all of this passing game germinates off of. So that much I do know, Buck.
Coach, we were talking earlier about some of Tennessee's struggles in scoring touchdowns in the red zone and how they were so efficient at it in 2022, and that's dropped off in 2024. Just curious to get your perspective on the key to red zone success on offense with the scheme that Tennessee runs, as we try to figure out, how they can sort of patch things together and have drives stop sort of coming to a stuttering stop inside the 20?
Well, it's really the low red zone. It's +6 to the goal line. They got to be able to run the ball in. I mean, because as a defensive coach, all of my life, I know this. If I've got you down there and I can pack everybody in there, and because of that in line as another defender, I want to encourage the throw down there because there's no ground for me to be able to cover. I mean, I got to make you stop not being able to run the ball in, and so they've got to get better at that. Especially in the low red zone. And then when they do throw down there, everything's got to process much quicker. Routes have got to snap off quicker. Throw has got to come out of the hands quicker. And it happens so much faster down there because of the condensed space you're in. I think in all of those areas is what they're probably looking at to improve, especially, as I said, in that low red zone from the +6 to the goal line.
Mac, we're hanging out at Hattie B's. They do Thanksgiving dinner for people who are not well equipped enough to fry their own turkey. Have you ever tried?
Frying a turkey?
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I've been around it. Look, I grew up in West Texas. I've been around a lot of turkey fries. I've also been around some that have exploded. So I know the good. I know the good and the bad of it.
So you would advise the people who are not experienced in the art of frying a turkey to trust the professionals at Hattie B's, yes?
Do not call Hattie B's, and whatever it costs, they can't charge you enough for that, believe me.
He's Coach Mack, Titans Radio on the call. Pregame coverage on Sunday morning starts at 9 a.m. with the Lee Company countdown to kickoff before we turn it over to the pros. Mike Keith, Coach Mack, and the rest of the crew. Mack, appreciate you as always. Have a great Friday, buddy, and I will see you in the booth on Sunday.
See you in the booth for pregame. See you, Buck. See you later.
That's the main man, Coach Dave McGinnis. You, from Mack's mouth to your ears, don't do this at home unless you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you can trust Hattie B's to take care of it for you.
Go to HattieB.com.
I was reading the F&M Bank chat where you can live stream the show today as we broadcast live from Hattie B's at the factory in Franklin. If you want to come hang out and get some of their fine fare for yourself as we get closer to most people's lunch breaks. There's some commentary in the chat about asking Coach Mack whether he's going Mike Tyson or Jake Paul tonight.
That is tonight. I wish I could watch it.
You got high school football.
Yes,
Way to tease.
I wish it was not on a Friday night. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
I'm very excited to be out at Stewart's Creek tonight. They host Brentwood. Dream season for Stewart's Creek. Brentwood trying to get back to the state championship for the first time in 4 years. Second round 6A playoff matchup, 7 p.m. on MyTV 30.
Nice save.
That's right. The Zone will be at Blackman Riverdale, by the way, which is a fascinating game in Murfreesboro.
I wonder if Mack is a boxing person because this is amateur boxing at this point with Jake Paul and an actual professional fighter in Mike Tyson. I'm dying to know how this thing is going to turn out. I know what it is. I know it's a payday. I know that Jake Paul is a cash cow for anybody who wants to kind of participate in one of these things. And I'm not knocking the hustle that way. Like if that's what people want boxing to be anymore, whatever. Like I'm the unpopular one based on the amount of revenue that these fights generate. So let me not speak out of turn. But I can't imagine a world. Do you ever watch Mike Tyson fight or just go on YouTube?
Oh, sure.
Kirby, I'm sure you've seen Mike Tyson fight at some point in your long and venerable career.
I've seen every doggone one of his fights. I watched, from the very first. Paul's dust.
So,
because Tyson is now, he's
58.
That doesn't matter.
Okay.
He's Mike Tyson, but he's gone back into Iron Mike. The interview the other night, he is watching the film on Paul, and he goes, he's got nothing. His children have never seen him fight. Kind of like what Brent went with the Tiger Woods in 19. He is going to destroy this guy in very quick fashion because Paul, a lot of that is he has fought no one. Tyson will destroy him.
Okay.
And I will enjoy watching every second.
I know you will. And I'm glad that you made that point because you are far. I think people would take Kirby to be more credible on this than either of us. I can't believe how many people are betting Jake Paul. There's a ton of money on Jake Paul.
There's a lot of people that have no idea what Mike Tyson's
That's what I'm
capable
saying.
of doing.
I don't care that he's 58, Kirby.
I wonder how much of that is, and I'm sort of in this boat. I don't know if that I can trust that whatever the outcome is tonight, it will be an organic outcome.
Oh, sure.
But I do. My best case scenario is that they're in business. And Jake Paul wants to beat Mike Tyson, and they've got this agreement in place. But that Mike Tyson goes feral once they get in there and forgets about all of that. And
what word did you just say?
Absolutely
he meant
destroys
feral,
it.
but he said feral.
He said feral.
Yeah, it's feral.
Why do you do that?
I have
with
an
so
odd
many
way
words?
of saying things.
Well, he puts a G. He's ing.
You're a
He doesn't-
professional broadcaster.
He's working on it.
Allegedly.
But it's that racing bike mentality of his. But no, Tyson's a different animal. I mean, this guy, he has one thing when he's in a ring, it's destroy that guy across from me and win it. And I'm telling you, I have no doubt in my mind. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'll come on Monday and go, whoop, I missed that one. But
No,
Tyson's
Kirby.
going to destroy this guy.
Me too.
He's fluff.
Put
I
it
don't care
into a
how he
poll.
looks. He's fluff. He's fought no one.
We're putting it to a poll: Tyson or Paul.
That's what I'm saying. And the internet, the internet is not the best place for scientific research, but I'm betting the internet says a lot of Paul, based on where our audience, or at least where the Twitter audience might skew.
Tyson can knock him out with a kidney pump. I mean, he could hit him in the middle of the body,
That's
knock
what
him
I'm
out.
saying, Kirby. He's a professional fighter, and Jake Paul is a YouTube act. which is
Exactly.
a YouTube act who fights, and that's to his credit, he whooped my ass.
Not
but,
much more after tonight.
That's what it is. I'm curious to see. I hope it's real. To Lucas's point, I hope it's
Yeah.
real. And I hope it's not.
Well, you'll
just
know
Mike
really
rolling
soon. If
over
it's
for a
just
payday.
everybody grabbing each other and clinging, I'm going to turn it off right then.
Well, that's because I'm not going to pretend to know anything about boxing tactics, but what I know about Mike Tyson is he will rush you.
Oh, he's coming in. Hey,
he
listen.
is full speed ahead.
From the moment the bell rings, he's going to tuck his chin. Those fists are coming up like this, and he is just going to walk through anything he has and put him on his back. That's exactly what's going to happen.
I really hope so, just for sanity's sake. I don't
Oh,
wanna
no,
see
just
Jake
straighten
Paul.
this sport out and get rid of these candy asses that are out here pretending.
We don't have Tyson Paul tickets, but I believe we have Jelly Roll tickets to give away, Jackson, for Friday Fire. Is that correct?
Do we,
Yes,
in fact?
Jelly Roll tickets for his November 26th show.
So, if you want the opportunity to see the hometown boy at Bridgestone Arena, Jelly Roll, on November the 26th, you need to call in and you need to give us your Friday Fire. What is that, you might ask? Well, if you haven't been listening to the show, it is the thing that made your week better. It is your moment of positivity, your moment of zen, whatever it is. Lucas's is that he's about to go face first into the entirety of the Hattie B's menu. So if it's more or less superficial than Lucas's, 615-737-1045. Tell us your Friday Fire, sports, personal, professional, otherwise. And the best one will get 2 tickets to see Jelly Roll, who himself is a ray of light. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Absolutely. It is one of our favorite segments of the week, especially at one of our favorite places, Hattie B's, where the hot chicken is always fire, even though if you don't have to go crazy with the level of fire with your Hattie B's hot chicken. But yeah, what made you feel good this week? Just a little moment of zen. Here, your Friday Fire, 615-737-1045 for the opportunity to win 2 tickets to Jelly Roll at his Bridgestone Arena concert here in the very near future. I'm going. You want to go?
I would love to go.
We would have a good time. I think we should go. I know that many people would like the opportunity to get to that concert, so give us your Friday Fire. We'll take your phone calls on it here in just a second. All right, so you guys just told me about the Tennessee fans and the way that they raised money for Montana's Money Williams after he lost both his mother and father over the course of the last year. It's a crazy story. It's something akin to like what Bill's Mafia does when people who help them or benefit them in some way have a charity that they donate to. Vols fans, it's not the first time that they've come through, right, with Zakai Ziegler a couple of years ago and the tragedy that his family experienced. Over a year ago, Money Williams lost his father while he was playing in a basketball game on a trip to Nevada, and then he received the news that he would also that his mother was also dealing with a situation, and then ultimately there was just personal tragedy across the board in his life. So Tennessee fans step up. They raise a ton of money for him. It is crazy to see that a young person and his siblings put into a situation like that, and for Tennessee fans to rise to the occasion. What's the total at right now? How much money were they able to raise in total for this GoFundMe that I think is still active right now?
Yeah,
over $102,000. They have a goal of $150K to help support this family and the tragedy that the loss that the tragedy that they've experienced has kind of brought about, because there are multiple siblings in the family and they're trying to do the best job that they can to help raise some of the younger siblings as well. GoFundMe.com to support the Williams family after their tragic loss. But Tennessee fans coming through in incredible fashion. And
that dude can play. He hung 30 on Tennessee for the Montana Grizz. It seems like a guy that could be a draft pick coming up in the upcoming NBA draft. Really crafty point guard, really fun to watch. Really cool story there with him dealing with just a tragic situation. I'm going to keep it with Tennessee basketball and Dalton Connect, who had his breakout game, and it came against the Memphis Grizzlies. The revenge game. That's right, Grizz. You pass up on Dalton Connect, and he hangs 19 on you. He is the first Lakers rookie ever to record 5 or more three-pointers without a miss in the game. He was 5 of 5 from three-point range, 7 of 8 from the floor. Again, 19 points in a win for the Lake Show over the Memphis Grizzlies just the other day. Jackson, can we hear LeBron James talking about Dalton Connect?
When AD was in foul trouble, how did you summon the opportunity and the power to finish off this game and get yourself back in this game?
We leaned on Dalton Connect. That's what we did. AD got in foul trouble, and our first-round pick hit a hot streak. It looked like he was back at Tennessee, so we leaned on him. I just tried to sprinkle in a couple plays here and there.
That is LeBron James saying, we leaned on Dalton Connect. Now, I'm seeing many people saying Dalton Connect is already on pace to be the greatest Laker not named Kobe Bryant in the history of the franchise. I think it's too early for that. I think it's too early. Let's not jump the gun on him, but Dalton Connect is my Friday Fire.
My Friday Fire is that Ben Jones is here. We're excited about it. It's always good to have Big Ben in the house. It must mean that it's Georgia week. But we have the opportunity to take some phone calls for some people who want to win some Jelly Roll tickets with their Friday Fire. 615-737-1045 is the number. Jackson, do you have a Friday Fire?
I do. My Friday Fire is vindication. For years as Tennessee fans, we were told that we were being crazy with the groomers. However, yesterday, John Gruden himself confirmed the groomers, saying, my wife cheered at Tennessee. I love Tennessee. I was a graduate coach there and did talk to the athletic director, and I don't look up to anybody more than I look up to Peyton Manning and Kenny Chesney. That is my Friday Fire. You told us we were crazy. We were not. Vindication.
I got so scared when he said the word groomers. I didn't know what he was talking about. He's talking about the rumors.
I can't lie. My heart still flutters a little bit when I see the word groomers or John Gruden talking about Tennessee football. What a time that was.
Ben, what would you have done if John Gruden was the head coach of the Tennessee Volunteers going up against the Georgia Bulldogs on a regular basis?
We'd have probably beat them like we have every other year. So we've been all right.
Ben's feeling good about his Georgia Bulldogs, even though not many other people seem to be, which we'll poke and prod Ben about here in just a second. Jackson, who do you want to start the bidding with for the Jelly Roll tickets?
Let's go with Austin.
All right, Austin, what's your Friday fire?
Hey, man, my fire would be Austin P basketball player Hansel Emmanuel. He's from the Dominican Republic. He had a horrific accident when he was 6 years old, had his arm amputated. And he plays significant minutes for him. I think he plays over 20 minutes a game. He's shooting like 85% from the field. So just to overcome that and be a D1 player, that's a great story.
Wow.
I mean, this is wild. This is a terrible job by me to not know more about this local story before.
He's a stud.
Ben just said that while we were listening to the call. That's a great submission.
They'll be in Knoxville Sunday playing Tennessee.
Remember to stay on hold for the opportunity to win those tickets. Who's next, Jackson?
Let's go with Justin.
All right, Justin, what you got? All right, great job by Justin.
It's a good point.
Who's next, Jackson?
Let's go with Andrew.
All right, let's see if you can do better, Andrew.
Just big time, Will Levis coming back, no turnovers. Maybe Brian Callahan can get his head in the book, just like he's looking in the Hattie B's menu.
Get him a Waffle House style menu. We can get a Hattie B's branded Titans play calling menu. I mean, whatever. Baby steps for Will Levis. If you're looking for a reason to root for the guy, that's progress, and that matters. It's a quality defense on the road. He's under fire because the offensive line situation is not ideal, even though some of those sacks were self-inflicted, certainly. But, yeah, sure, we'll take that. If Levis is going to get ripped every time he does something wrong, then anytime there's incremental progress, he should also at least be acknowledged.
Yes. I agree, and the Hattie B's shout-out is a bonus point for Andrew.
Oh, you give bonus points out. Ben, do you have something this week that made you feel good? Whether, it's something that happened with your kids going on lately. Maybe you
Ensworth football
achieved a personal record.
Yes, we play an NBA tonight at home, trying to keep the perfect season alive. So if you're in town, come to Ensworth football game tonight versus NBA.
Look at that. How much have you enjoyed the high school football thing this year?
It's been great. Never thought I would enjoy it this much, but having the relationship with these high school kids, and it's fun. I get to go out there, I get excited when they score, and I don't hurt after it, so it's nice.
It's a novelty feeling, I'm sure, for Ben Jones, who many times gets excited about touchdowns, but then feels some part of his body falling off after the fact. I know he's excited for the Vols coming to town this weekend. Georgia is hosting at Sanford Stadium. We're going to get Ben's analysis on that game coming up next. What?
The Austin P story has to win Friday Fire, right? From Austin.
I just assumed that's who you were going to give the tickets to. I didn't know I needed to make a big thing
All right,
about it.
let's do it.
Okay, congratulations to Austin, who will go see Jelly Roll. Thank you for giving us a moment of positivity this week. A really, really cool story at Austin P. We should see if we could get somebody on to talk about that. If not the kid in general, I would like to know more about the great things that are going on there in Clarksville. I'm Buck Rising, live from Hattie B's. It's 104.5 The Zone. Hey guys, the Tennessee Men's Clinic is a great resource if you're somebody who the pill stopped working for and you're dealing with ED. The sad reality is that if you go to a doctor to treat ED, those may be the only protocols that they have available for you. Ben, make sure you're paying attention. Men, do not go through irreversible surgery to treat your ED before you have talked to the experts at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Ben Jones has been through many surgeries in his life. He can tell you how uncomfortable those can be. The Tennessee Men's Clinic specializes in these issues. It's all they do, and it makes them the experts in the field. Their protocols are patient-centered and customized to your needs. The bottom line is no one has more expertise and experience in successfully treating men's sexual health issues than the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and they are passionate about what they do. So call them today, 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090, or schedule an appointment online today at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
It is 12:01. Good afternoon from Hattie B's at the factory in Franklin. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans return home to host the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday. Cornerback L'Jarius Sneed and offensive tackle Leroy Watson did not practice on Thursday. Brian Callahan will give an injury update in just a few minutes. The Lee Company countdown to kickoff hits the air at 9 a.m. Titans countdown starts at 11, and kickoff with Mike Keith, Coach Mack, and the rest of the Titans radio crew is at noon. Number 7, Tennessee visits number 12, Georgia, Saturday at Sanford Stadium. Vols quarterback Nico Iamaleava listed as questionable again on Thursday as he works through concussion protocol. Georgia running back Trevor Etienne has been ruled out. Kickoff between Vols and Dogs is set for 6:30. Vol Network coverage on The Zone starts at 4. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
All right, welcome in the final hour. Things are moving fast on this Friday. We're hanging out at Hattie B's. We got former Titans center, former Georgia center, Ben Jones hanging out here with us. We got Lucas, who is salivating because there is Hattie B's food on the way. See, Ben went and ran stairs, and it isn't even going to partake in the hot chicken today, and yet you, not even having earned it, are just going to stick your face into a chicken sandwich. What kind of cheese did you get on your hot chicken sandwich?
Pimento cheese.
Pimento cheese.
What else?
I didn't realize there was another option.
There is, but
who was the worst eater that you ever played with? Because I know a lot of people think that the linemen are just, gorging themselves on a regular basis, but I feel like a lot of these skill guys eat like crap.
You mean like pickiest or like nastiest?
Like just in terms of volume. Okay. Or like, generally not the best thing for your health. Like, isn't DK Metcalf's whole thing he eats a whole bag of Skittles a day or something?
If you're eating unhealthy, A.J. Brown by far. He'd come in with McDonald's every day or Chick-fil-A every single day and eat it. It's always the skill guys.
It's an Ole Miss wide receiver thing, apparently.
No doubt. Adoree had the Reese Cups thing. He always had like 10 giant-sized ones in his locker. Anytime he's walking by, I'm like, oh, that's your pre-workout right there. So I'm like, I can't imagine what you would play like if you ate healthy.
Like, can you imagine AJ, but like with good diet habits?
Oh, it'd be unreal.
It'd be unbelievable. I do remember the one bout he had with Chipotle.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, that seemed to physically take him out for a period of time. But that's neither here nor there. We're here to talk about good football, not bad dietary habits. Georgia, number 12, your Bulldogs, hosting the Vols. Everybody else that we've talked to about this game, Benjamin, has expressed fear and concern on the Georgia football side of things, and I'm trying to figure out what you're going to do to convince us that Georgia should be favored by 10 in this game.
They know. Vegas knows.
Yeah, no, Vegas doesn't know anything.
I'm just saying, like, you're coming to Sanford Stadium. We're playing for either if we win or we're out.
Yep.
Ole Miss was in the same scenario last week. They came to play. We got to have that juice. It's at our home stadium at night. Tennessee's quarterback's probably not even practicing this week. And you think they're going to run zone read if he's been in concussion protocol? Hi-ya! That's what's going to happen. So you better hand it off or get rid of it fast. I just feel like the edge is sitting there. Kirby is saying all the right things this week. You're not in the playoffs. Nobody believes in you. You're getting all the talk. Great. Talk up Tennessee. Great. They're going to come back to Athens, and it's going to be, is this 10 years in a row? Will this make 10?
2016 is the last time.
Will this make 10? Look at you.
I guess that's getting close to 10, almost there. And it's going to be another one in the books. Tennessee is our little brother like Alabama treats us. Like, we came to Hattie B's. I show up. It's red and black. You're wearing red and black.
Now, what's the all-time
I did notice that
series
today.
record? What's the all-time series record here before we start talking
No,
that?
let this man get through his moment of confidence because he's been having people – his head is bigger than it normally is, and he's got a giant dome to begin with, okay? Like, he has been gassed up by all manner of credible people telling him that he should have great confidence against a team that he has never had confidence against.
Right. That's what everybody's like, oh, they're got this, doing this. Does Tennessee ever win on the road? They went and lost to Arkansas?
I believe that's correct.
That was really – I'm sure that was a loud environment down there. And the last time y'all been on the road was it Arkansas back in October?
It was Arkansas.
Oh, that's
Wait,
great.
that's the last time they played a road game? No, that's not true.
They haven't played a road game till like October 3rd, 4th.
Been a lot of home games lately.
That's
and bye
insanity.
weeks. Yeah, home games and bye weeks as of late. No, it is. And before that, it was Oklahoma, and that was an emotional game. But we know what Oklahoma is now. That is a fair criticism.
They're terrible.
Under Josh Heupel. Absolutely, that's been the thing, is going on the road and beating an elite opponent under the lights in a hostile environment. Sanford Stadium's going to be ready. Now, I know it's easy for Kirby to do they don't believe in you, coming off of a loss. And I'm not going to lie, that is a concern for me. But, like, how is Kirby – I wonder if players – I guess you could – and when you were playing, I guess betting wasn't as normalized as it is now, definitely. But do players pay attention to that stuff, you think? Because Georgia has been 10-point favorites for most of the week. So is Kirby having to, block the FanDuel app on kids' phones? I guess it probably already should be doing that.
But they should not have it on their phones.
You can't gamble in Georgia, so you ain't got to worry about that.
Fair enough. Okay.
It's not like Tennessee over here. But, yeah, you're looking at that. They lost, and they got embarrassed. And I'm looking back at it. I'm like, all right, what did we do to Tennessee last year in Neyland? We whooped them. Do they have the exact same D lineman? They do. Do we have the exact same O lineman? We do. So I think we blocked them last year and beat them 38-10. I think the same thing's going to happen.
Well, the same thing hasn't been happening all season, though, with those exact same.
Yeah, Ole Miss got it. That's the only place that I'm going to side against you here this week, Ben, because Ole Miss has a quality defensive line, and they got your boys last week.
Hey, it was flooding, raining. Give us some credit. It's on the road. We're going to have the snap count.
What, are your offensive line going to melt in the rain? What's wrong?
Hey, the cleats were bad, man.
No, that's actually fair.
We're going to bounce back. I have all the faith in the world. I know how they run their ship over there. Can you imagine that practice? Did you think Mike Vrabel's bad after a loss? Just imagine what you're getting there from Kirby. You're getting it all week.
Tell me, Ben.
It is absolutely brutal. So they are foaming at the mouth to play this game. Everybody's saying, hey, they're out. They're not the same team. All we need is Carson Beck to just show up 1 week. 1 week. We ain't got to play good for 12. He's already played bad for 10. So 1 week, Carson. Can we have a good 1 week?
So you've been doing these shows where you react with a bunch of former Georgia players. You got Noshawn Moreno on there. You got Aaron Murray on there. It's the Players Lounge. You can find them on YouTube. They're excellent broadcasts. They do a lot of them locally as well, or I guess regionally as well, for various college football programs with various college former players talking about these things, and current players. You guys interview current players as well as a part of that with the Players Lounge. It's a really cool thing, so you should check it out. For Ben venturing into this terrible, terrible media space that people like him and Darren Bates told me they'd never be a part of.
Dang media.
Just unbelievable the way that you've come over to the side of the Vultures, but that's neither here nor there. Beck. Ooh, what the hell? Like, he's a fifth-year college football player.
Right.
And he's getting worse, it would seem to me, Ben. And I wonder, as somebody, and I don't know what personal experience you can relate to the idea of playing with a quarterback who you know to be talented, who you know to be capable and competent, because Kirby's fielding questions about changing quarterbacks this week, and he's responding, no, we know this guy can do the job. What are you seeing from him that would at least inform why it's looking the way that it's looking right now?
Yeah, he's trying to force things. He's having to be elite every single week, where in the past you had a Brock Bowers, you had a Ladd McConkey, you had guys around you that you can, like, hey, you go make the play. Now he's having to make every single play for that offense right now, and I feel like he just needs to step back. Let's not turn the ball over and control the clock and let the young quarterback make a mistake this week and not him. He needs to play like the veteran who's played a lot of football games and not sit here and force things. Make them do it if we get up.
Well, then maybe is that the bigger obstacle that Georgia has to be able to prove, that they can run the ball and control the clock, right? Because we've seen Beck perform in that situation. He's getting so much more on his shoulders now, and with the way Georgia struggled to run the ball, and now Trevor Etienne, how do you kind of quantify the impact of him not playing on Saturday?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of games we haven't even ran the ball. We don't even try. It's like, hey, we're going to throw it 40 times a game. We're going to let Beck try to win a Heisman, try to do this, and he's not that. He's the guy who needs to – hey, distribute the ball, get the ball, hit his check downs. That'd be great just to hit some check downs every once in a while and trying to fit things in there. And, yes, we're going to have a freshman running back in there toting it this week. He runs angry, and we'll have Cash Jones in there on third down doing his thing. But, yes, Trevor Etienne, he's a guy who can play 1 through 3 downs, 1 through first and second, third, fourth. So that does hurt. Like, coming into that, to having two really good, healthy backs that you can hand it to, that's definitely going to impact this game. And hopefully we're able to get up and kind of do our thing and not have to be just pounding it every single play.
Ben Jones hanging out here with us on 104.5 The Zone. We're going to continue to talk about the college football playoff implications because, to your point of this Georgia-Tennessee game, this is an elimination game. Ole Miss understood the assignment, essentially. Georgia will be put in position to do just the same, and it's not very often because you brought up the way that Kirby is, talking to them or talking about their circumstance right now and motivating them. A lot of times he's been lying to them over the course of the past couple of years because there's no way that anybody doubted these past Georgia teams who have gone on to win national champions. It's just nonsense, the idea that, and by the way, that's part of the job of the coach to find different ways to motivate your team, no
He's
matter
masterful at it.
how they buy into it. So let me not speak evil on the idea of that. But I think that in particular, Ben, it's real this time. It's more visceral. I know it's a new group. It's a bunch of different guys. But that message has to hit home. How often in your career down there, because you guys dealt with some opportunities to go and play quality opponents and try and meet these challenges. I know the situation with the college football playoffs is obviously much different. But like what was a moment like this that you can remember in your career where you had to go in there and you had that week of preparation leading up and kind of the mindset that you guys had as a team?
Just thinking back through all those years, my senior year we ended up winning the SEC on our side, but beating Tennessee in Knoxville, going to Vandy, beating them, having Kentucky to win the SEC at home. Like, we had those games, but when you look back to it, look at our schedule this year. Like, we've played Clemson in a neutral site. We went to Texas, went to Alabama, went to Ole Miss. Like, we have played team after team after team. If you'd have told me before the year, hey, you went 10-2, I'm like, sign it right now. Give it to me right now.
Yeah.
I think the whole college football world needs to come back. It's a playoff now. Like, if you win the SEC, great, but your whole goal is just to get in. It's turning into the NFL. Like, it's not about, hey, this conference championship game is really gives you a bye. Other than that, is it okay not to play in it? Yes, if you get a home field advantage as the 5 or 6 seed, sign that up. Imagine getting to play at Neyland Stadium or Sanford Stadium on your first game. Imagine the environment for your fans, your university. I think that's what you want.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt.
Ben is hanging out here with us. You got another segment in you?
Absolutely.
You sweet angel. We'll continue to talk some college football with Ben Jones here. Perhaps we'll even dip a toe into some Titans waters if we're feeling brave and dangerous at this point in the show. Live from Hattie B's at the factory in Franklin, I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
All right.
Welcome back to the show. We are live from Hattie B's Hot Chicken at the factory in Franklin. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. It is literally in front of us. Lucas could not be bothered to wait until the end of the show to enjoy said hot chicken. Who
Am I
could blame
supposed to
him?
just look at it?
No, I mean, most people would. I'm trying to show the audience how delightful it looks, so perhaps if they're considering Hattie B's for lunch, they could mobile order it. They could go out to the nearest Hattie B's location. They could stop by and see us here for lunch with Ben Jones, who's hanging out and talking some shop with us as well. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to get involved at this point. The college football playoff implications. So we talked about the nature of the elimination game for Georgia specifically. Tennessee making that trip down on Saturday.
Our nemesis.
It's our nemesis. What do you mean?
George is here.
What do you mean? George is the highlight of our trip to Hattie B's.
Yes, he is.
If you're unfamiliar with George, I'm sorry to disrupt the college football conversation. Ben, this individual, this devilish creature back here by the Smile and Hustle sign, I believe he's an Alabama fan as well, so there may be some contention around here. Each time we do this show, he brings out a different level of heat to try and get Lucas to collapse on the air.
A Russian roulette of sorts.
I love that.
Except the chamber has a bullet in every one. You're not getting away from anything. You're getting popped every time. So we will see what George has in store for Lucas before the end of this show.
I can't wait to see this.
Today, it's typically pretty unpleasant to watch. It starts to get a bit snotty. It starts to get a bit, there's some tears involved, whether it's just because of the heat or because he's in physical pain. We haven't been able to determine. The College Football Playoff Committee, what do you think of them?
I just want to know, does it matter to play a hard schedule, or should we play like an easy schedule like your Penn State, your other teams in other conferences? Does it only matter your wins? Does it matter if you're having to go on the roads or your losses, I guess? Because it doesn't matter if you beat these big teams anymore. I thought the whole reason is to play a hard schedule so you prepare yourself for this. If it's not going to hold any weight, then why play them?
Well, they play Michigan, Ben.
Yeah.
Those are big wins these days.
Yeah.
Luan sent me a text talking smack about, it's so nice for Indiana to have a 10-win season or whatever, ignoring the fact that Michigan is now 5-5, no matter if they are the defending national champions. It's stuff like that just makes me think that these people just get in a room and they just throw this stuff together every week and come what may, right? I know that there's probably some level of pomp and circumstance that we're not giving them credit for, but I don't know. It all seems very, very arbitrary to me.
Yeah. I think they're trying to make every conference happy right now by throwing in 3 or 4 of the Big Ten and the SEC. But when it comes down to it, who did Penn State beat? Have they beat anybody with the ranked schedule?
No.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. When you got a Texas A&M, you got a Tennessee, you got a Georgia, you got a Ole Miss, you got a Alabama, you got Missouri, can Vandy beat them? You don't know because they don't play anybody who's ranked. It's going to be a lot of teams sitting there with 2 SEC losses at the end of the season. And, hey, we did play that schedule. We are playing your big teams every week. And does that hold weight? We'll see.
What do you make of Tennessee right now? Because obviously we've talked to you about Georgia. You're getting ready for this game in particular, or Georgia's getting ready for this game in particular, and the progress that they've made. Because we've asked this a couple of people this question this week. Which quarterback do you trust more, objectively?
Yeah.
Between Nico and Carson Beck, with Beck who's struggling, who's turning the ball over, who's coming off a performance where the offense did not score an offensive touchdown in that game against Ole Miss, and Nico, who is still inexperienced, who's coming out of the concussion protocol, so there's some variance to be expected there, or there may be some differences, as you brought up earlier, about the way that they deploy him, especially with the ground game. Which one would you trust more in a situation that they're getting ready to experience? Because there's stakes on both sides.
If I was going to Knoxville, Georgia, I would probably feel a little better with Nico right now. But having it home, having the crowd, being able to talk, you got to give Carson Beck some. When is he going to show up? Hopefully he shows up this week. But Nico, he has played well all year. He's the one I said, seeing the ball jump out of his hand early on the year, he is special. Yes, he's missed some throws in some games. We had some open receivers. But you expect that. He's a young quarterback, and that's what you expect the guy like that. But you want him in the game for you. You wouldn't want any other quarterback. We're looking at our roster. I don't want Gunnar Stockton or the other guy. They want Nico in there just like we want Carson because they give us the best chance to win.
How much are you seeing expectations for young players to deliver sooner, kind of recalibrated now with NIL factored in? Because you're seeing it in the NFL too, right?
Yeah.
The younger the quarterbacks get, the more hopes are being pinned of an entire franchise on Anthony Richardson,
Right.
who had a hard time doing it consistently at Florida,
Right.
and now the Colts are asking him to do it. Are you seeing that kind of the expectations are being demanded sooner and sooner because of the money that college football players are making?
Yeah, and I feel like you're not able to coach them the right way. You're not able to coach them hard and develop these kids because, hey, you got to change your offense, change everything so, hey, you can give them the best product instead of not teaching them, hey, this is what it is to work your fundamentals in practice. This is how you sit back and study. This is how you learn. So I was glad last year when Nico sat there and got to learn behind Milton. I think it made him a better quarterback this year because you didn't have to throw him in the fire right away. And I respect teams like that, like Arch Manning sitting there behind Ewers. Like, I think those guys are going to do better in the long run because they had time. Like, looking back last year at Carson, we were like, yes, he sat behind all those years. He played great. We had all these Heisman hopes and first overall pick, and he just hasn't played well. And hopefully he figures it out and gets it all figured out and moves on to the next level next year. It was a first round. Now he's just trying to find a home. I think he does have all the tools. He's just got to fine-tune it and make better decisions.
Just quickly, since we're on the subject of quarterback development, that's a big topic in the NFL right now. Like, you're somebody who's worked with a great many quarterbacks across your career, and you've seen all levels of different experiences and exposure, certainly. What do you make of the way that NFL organizations are handling the position? I don't know if you saw the comments from Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings coach, as a matter of fact, where he's talking about organizations fail players way more often than players are failing organizations. How do you kind of like process that as somebody who's got a unique experience there?
Yeah, if he is your franchise quarterback, then you know that when you're drafting him. But most of these quarterbacks coming out of college have never seen the amount of defenses you're going to see, the amount of coverages, the amount of put on your plate. Like, in college, they give you the play, you go out there, you snap it, you throw it. You don't know how to do the protection. You don't know how to do run game checks because you know what they do? They look to the sideline and they hold up a board and say, hey, run play one, run play this play, look at your wristband. You don't do that in the NFL. So there is so much more on the quarterback's plate when they get in the NFL. So I think looking at the Vikings and having Sam Darnold in there so they didn't have to have J.J. play if he was healthy right away, I love that. You want a guy, even if it's just 1 year, to sit back there and learn and progress. And I think the Titans were trying to do that last year with Levis, and Tannehill got hurt. So for him, how many offenses in a row? Is this 4 in a row for him? 2 in college that he had learned, a new OC, 2 OCs in a row. He's learning whole new schemes.
3 in college because he goes from Penn State to Kentucky under Liam Cohen and then Rich Scangarello and then to the NFL.
So you got to give him some slack on that, too. I know they're saying, like, hey, he's had all the camp. He's got to progress. It's a lot of verbiage. It's a lot of every week is a new game plan for him. It's not like he's sitting there like, oh, let's call this play that we called 3 years ago, or, hey, I feel comfortable in this. They're still building that relationship here. So it's hard. Like, they have a hard position, the amount of knowledge, the amount of work they got to put into it just to be ready week to week. So the more you're able to play, look at your Patrick Mahomes. The best example. Set behind Alex Smith in there at the Kansas City Chiefs, and right after that.
So how remarkable does that make what Jaden Daniels is doing and what C.J. Stroud did last year?
That's what when you're going back to it, those 2 quarterbacks jump off the charts to me. Like, you never expect a rookie to do that well, but they built a team around that. They put veteran players in the right positions. They have guys, they're running you got to think, the Washington's running a college kind of offense with that, and he's getting the ball out of his hands fast. He's getting his playmakers the ball. They're not sitting here having to making a million checks like they're doing here with Will. But C.J. Stroud, absolute stud. You got to give him his flowers, and no matter what system, because he's running the exact same system as Will's running right now.
Yeah.
And he did that as a rookie. So you got to give the man credit when it's deserved, and he's done it.
And I think that's such a great parallel to hold up and to kind of articulate the differences in where each player is in their level of progress and how unrealistic it is to expect anybody to operate at the level that CJ was as a rookie. And also we had Laramie.
Right.
Like, Laramie Tunsil is such a huge part of that for him, Ben. But so let's stick with this for a second before we pivot back to some college stuff. Team building. Yeah, because they're getting ready to go through a conversation. I know we're weeks away at this point, months away at this point before we talk about draft stuff, thank God. But the idea of putting another rookie in here before there's a situation that is just viable for anybody with any lesser level of experience, especially a rookie coming in to play behind an offensive line like the Titans are currently putting out there right now. The more people that I talk to, specifically with the Titans organization and around the NFL, and guys who have been in locker rooms would say, no, give me even a Zach Wilson. I know that makes Titans fans' hair stand up on the back of their neck or something like that, right? I mean, I know, like that's what we're talking about, but like, give me rehab Zach Wilson or Darnold after he's had a year with Kevin O'Connell or something like that. Give me a stopgap guy while I continue to build out the best infrastructure possible to make sure that the quarterback is ready. Because that, honestly, it wasn't – I mean, Tannehill did put you guys over the top in 19 when they made that quarterback change, but you guys were built to go. That's what made that evaluation period, those first 6 or 7 weeks for Marcus, so critical.
100%. And with that team, all we were doing, the only thing we needed from that year, we were able to run the ball. We were able to do that. We just needed somebody to elevate at the quarterback play, and Tannehill brought that. He didn't turn the ball over. He was able to get our playmakers the ball. We didn't ask him to be a world beater. Like, he delivered the ball where it was supposed to go. He turned around and handed it to Derrick Henry, in which we can see now the Ravens are doing the same thing when they need it. They have – I don't even want to talk about that. I'm not a Ravens guy at all. It hurts me to say that, but I do watch Derek on Sundays because I support him. But God, that hurt. God, that hurt.
I can feel it.
It hurts me to say that. The hate that we have toward the Ravens sitting here. But yes, giving your quarterback that time to breathe, to learn, because it's a must-win situation. It used to be like, hey, you gave coaches 3 to 4 years to kind of figure it out. Now it's 1, maybe 2 if you don't get it figured out, the right quarterback. And I think that's not long enough, honestly, for these coaches to actually change a culture, change a program. They make them win right away because I think that's just hard to do. It's hard to change a culture in a team right away.
Ben Jones hanging out here with us. We are hanging out at Hattie B's at the factory at Franklin, where you can come get your lunch. You can also get your orders in for their Thanksgiving Day deal, Lucas, which they have, 5 more days to submit their order at HattieB.com if they want to have Hattie B's take care of their Thanksgiving feast this year.
5 days to get your Monday through Wednesday pickup. It's fried turkey, it's cheesy hot chicken dip, whipped potatoes, Bishop's carrot souffle. I mean, the options are endless. Just let Hattie B's do the work for you. Ben Jones, do you have a favorite Tennessee-Georgia memory as a player?
I know some that stick out to me, and they wasn't good ones, like playing against Eric Berry and him, Noshan jumping over me on a cut and Eric Berry lighting him up. We talk about it. Me and Noshan always talk about it. I'm like, Eric Berry was special.
Yeah.
Then go in there the next year, and you walk in like warming up. They have a hype video of Eric Berry. Eric Berry, very scary. I'm like, what is this?
It was made by a basketball player at the time. Yeah. Oh, Ronaldo. Oh, it's going to kill me to forget his name. But, yeah, he was a rapper that played for the basketball team that made a song.
Awesome.
So having that and finally just winning in Neyland Stadium because it is so loud. It's an atmosphere that they always say LSU's loud, Alabama's loud, Auburn's loud. It's a different loud, honestly, when you go to UT. No matter if they have a good team or a bad team, it is a place that you can't play in all these, like, Seahawks and places like that. Nobody's as loud as Neyland Stadium. And a lot of college programs don't have the silent cadence that you have in the NFL. So it makes it extremely hard to play there. Thank goodness we ain't playing there this weekend.
He said, I'm not worried about it because we've got the noise this weekend. So that was the most difficult environment that you played in as a college football player?
Hands down. It's not even close.
Yeah. Ben Jones hanging out here with us in studio. Or not in studio, at Hattie B's.
What about as an NFL player?
NFL would have been loud.
Yeah.
The Saints is loud because it's a dome. Like, I feel like every stadium that's loud, it's outdoors, so it's not as bad. And they're only like 60,000 people, I feel like. You're, like, the Cowboys have a huge stadium, but they don't have fans. Like, they're for the party. Minnesota is loud.
Minnesota's legit.
They have, like, the best, probably, the closest thing to a Neyland Stadium, honestly.
I'm concerned a skull chant is going to break out at Nissan this week.
It could really happen, honestly.
It's plausible.
It is being at home, that's the destination spot, and we always hated that. Like, you play the Green Bays, the Lions, the Raiders, their fans travel.
Yeah, but you had reason to shut opposing fans up, and this has not necessarily gone to plan for this year's iteration of the Tennessee Titans. That Brian Flores defense. So you would have played him at Miami, right?
In the rain.
Not at Minnesota. So
Hurricane game, or the longest game in NFL history.
That wasn't Flores yet, was it?
Flores was the home game we beat them before the playoffs.
Okay,
That's
year.
right. So that would have been Tua. That would have been what, 34-3,
Yeah,
if
we
I
whooped
remember
them. Yeah, we
correctly.
whooped them.
the last time they scored 30 until they
It was
played
cold, raining, O-lineman weather.
So
But he gave us every look you can imagine.
So we've talked a lot with people about the quarterback preparing for the Brian Flores defense. What's the offensive line room like the week before you're getting ready to go against a defense that is so excellent at disguise the way that they are, and they're showing you pressure looks no matter if they're bringing pressure or not?
Yeah, that's the week that I'm sitting there taking the run plan and the protection scheme. I'm like, hey, they've shown this. They're not going to show me this again. What could they possibly line up in to make it, hey, me get out of this run? Or, hey, I have to have an answer for everything. So I'd sit there hours and hours with the O-line coach and OC like, hey, we got to have an answer. Even coming into the game, they would give us something. I'm like, I have no answer for this. Like, we got to have a check. And they were like, we're making in-game adjustments constantly. You're going to have to come out there and put a game. They're going to give you something you haven't seen, and you got to make an in-game adjustment if you want to win this game.
Some Titans news. Nicholas Petit-Frere is going to start at right tackle for the Titans on Sunday. Leroy Watson has been ruled out, as well as L'Jarius Sneed. But NPF back in at right tackle.
MPF, let's go.
Okay, no, don't laugh. That's not funny. Help me not be miserable and borderline cruel when I talk about Nick, because I'm really, really frustrated with him this year.
Nick is a really nice guy.
I know that, and that's not why I'm frustrated with him, Ben.
Hey, I get to sit back and I'm his friend now.
I know.
I can be his buddy. I don't have to be in the locker room.
I'm aware.
Getting on him for anything in the room, so I can sit back and just be a good friend now.
Okay, so let's take... Damn you.
Don't put him in a tough spot.
No, I'm not. I'm going to say, let's take Nick's name off of it, and let's make it Ben Jones locker room bad guy or Ben Jones locker room leader.
Yeah.
If you are in a situation, and you guys dealt with some stuff, like it wasn't all perfect. You played for some less than competitive football teams at the start of the Tennessee experience. Even though, I mean, you came in with DeMarco though.
I never had a losing season, Buck.
That's right.
Come on, Buck.
No, I know. It feels like it's been 7,000 years since you guys were there and like actually playing meaningful football in the month of November.
Hadn't been that long.
I know. That's what I'm saying. But so say you have a bad day, like, Taylor gets dummied by Chandler Jones or something like that.
It happens.
And you got to have some come to football Jesus moments in the locker room. Like, what is the approach there? Because it's easy for people externally to sit there and be like, that guy sucks, get him out of the lineup. But you understand you need that guy to win that week.
Absolutely. It's about building confidence that week. It's about sitting down with the O-line coach and the offense coordinator like, hey, we need to help this guy in situations like, hey, can we chip for him? Hey, can we get in third and manageable? We don't want to sit here on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and they get their best rusher lined up on a guy who's young, who is in his head at the point. Like, Taylor's been there. We've all been there at some point. Like, they are good on the other side of the ball. You got to give him the confidence that, hey, they're going to put a game plan together, that they're going to help you. They're going to give you the best opportunity to win.
Ensworth playing NBA tonight?
We're playing at home versus NBA. Should be a good one.
So we mentioned at the start of the hour for people who are just now tuning in with Ben Jones that you've been a part of Ensworth's coaching staff with both Hasselbecks. Aren't both Hasselbecks involved?
And the daddy. We got all three.
Oh, wow.
We got the Don fathers.
This feels like a competitive advantage that high school teams should not have, but that's not.
We only have like 9 to 11 NFL coaches.
Hey, but they're scattered everywhere across Middle
No,
Tennessee.
for sure.
I mean,
For sure, it's real.
No doubt.
Blaine was helping with Independence. Dexter McCluster has been.
No, I know. There's
Scott
just
Wells
there's so many of them at Ensworth that I'm looking at them being like, okay, that's hilarious.
There is a heavy concentration.
But like for you, what has been? I know you talked about the connection that you've been able to develop, and I know you work with guys who are coming out in the draft process and stuff like that, as far as offensive linemen and local guys go. So from that standpoint, that the relationship part of it has been the most rewarding, or because I feel like when players go into any level of coaching, like it can be kind of difficult to also be a teacher in that spot, even though I know that you know your stuff as well as anybody and have been able to articulate to that to young guys in a NFL offensive line room for years. It's probably just a little bit of a different degree.
Yeah, I know coming in the first couple weeks, they were like, they were just like the fan. Like, you played for the Titans, did this. Then I was like, hey, you have to hold them to a certain standard. So, like, I would make a point like, hey, I would get down, show them what it was supposed to look like, then they would have to turn around and do it. I'm like, hey, guys, this is what it's supposed to look like. Now, can you do it too? So I think that kind of brought some value to it. They're like, hey, he's really trying to make me better as a player. And I always try to bring like a fun play to the table every week. So I'll tell the Ethan Utley, the UT guys, like, hey, I'm trying to dial up the pass for you this week just to get him interested into the game plan because we need him to block. We need him to make sacks for us. But just to have that little edge, I know like we'd always have something up for Taylor or Dennis like, hey, we could possibly throw you a pass this week just to bring some fun into it.
Trying to keep attention for a week longer.
I'm in a little fantasy football league with them just to kind of mentor them, and it's been great. I get excited because when a play works that we dial up and to see the enjoyment in them, because you just want them to succeed. It's high school football. They enjoy it, and it's better when you win.
You're not poisoning Utley's mind, are you? Are you sprinkle? I mean, what is Tennessee getting in Ethan Utley?
Poisoning Utley's mind.
You know where his mom played basketball at?
Did she play at Georgia?
At the University of Georgia.
Oh. Yet still he picked the Vols.
Has he signed yet? Just wondering. I'm just wondering, has he signed?
Well, what is Tennessee getting in a kid like Ethan Utley?
Is a straight up, he's as straight laced as they come. Actually a good dude. Like, you can't find a better guy than that in the locker room. Just a overall good person and talented, unreal. Like, coming into it, you never know how gifted a high school kid is. Like, it's a lot of these guys who go on and never play in college. He's got all the tools, so I'm excited for him. Tennessee has my guy, Rodney Gardner, over there as the D-line coach. So he is going to get coached like a Mike Vrabel style, FYI. So I said, good luck. I hope you know what you're getting into because you could get the same thing at Georgia if you want to come to. But Rodney Gardner is one of the best. So I'm happy he's in good hands.
Titans fans hear that and are probably hit with a little bit of the grass isn't always greener on the other side. But that's neither here nor there. Benjamin, always good to see you.
Y'all too, man. It's always good.
Have a great game tonight. Continued success for you guys, and good luck on Saturday. I root against Lucas almost every week, but now I'm financially invested in Tennessee's success.
What?
So, I mean, listen, the Titans aren't helping me do anything this year. What do you?
Indiana people don't listen to this.
Yeah, let me.
They're popping up.
Brother Saffold and NWI are the only two people that I knew that were paying attention to Indiana football, and even they're shocked by what's going on this year. Get out of here already. Ben Jones hanging out here with us. Last call for phone calls live at Hattie B's here on 104.5 The Zone. last segment for us here at Hattie B's. If you can't tell, we started eating. Thanks for hanging out. Now, George is lurking. I'm concerned because for 2 years, if you're unfamiliar with George from Hattie B's, he is one of the managers out here, and he has, every year we've done this show, each hour brought Lucas out an increased level of heat on a chicken tender to try and incapacitate him during the show. And I've gotten away with putting this on Lucas for many, many years. But George is saying for the 1-year anniversary of the Factory at Franklin location that I'm going to have to do the Shut the Cluck Up thing today.
Yes, finally.
And I have not done this ever willingly. I do not want to do this, which is why we must do this. And I love Hattie B's, but I have this delightful mild sandwich in front of me, and even then I'm telling you it's a little too hot for
Which
me.
is crazy. I mean, the pimento cheese on my sandwich is spicier than the mild chicken, but I get it. It's not for everybody. That's the great thing about Hattie B's, though, is that if you don't want to eat Shut the Cluck Up, you can get the mild, right? You can just get just straight up fried chicken without any spice on it at all. It's all amazing. The sides are also the best in town. The pimento mac and cheese, my personal favorite. But I love that he's gunning for you. He is running out of time because we've only got a few minutes left in the show.
I see him.
Well, but
I see him. He's brought a margarita, too.
That's
At least I can drink on air. It's the last segment of the show. See, George, you do this with a smile on your face, and you know that I love you, but you're going to make me hate you.
Is this
moment.
Shut the Cluck Up spice in the margarita?
A painkiller. I at least there's a margarita here to soothe my pain, because this is going to be an unpleasant experience. I mean, which is fine, because now you're here and you can get through the rest of the show, but just prepare for me to be useless for the next, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, however long this lasts.
As long as you got nothing to do today.
Just a podcast. That's about the extent of it. So, how you feeling? Ben Jones came in here and gave you more reasons than you've had to think about all week long for Georgia to be competitive in this game. Not just competitive, but to handle business at home. We talked about this with Pate yesterday. This is a situation where Vegas, everybody assumes that Vegas knows something when Georgia's a 10-point favorite, and Pate is telling you very much, no, they're doing the logo thing the same way that a lot of people will do the logo thing right now. And until such time as Tennessee goes in and prove it. But they are equipped. Oh, there's chocolate milk here, too.
Yeah, when he's bringing the chocolate milk, you know you're in
milk,
trouble.
A margarita, and this nuclear-looking chicken. Oh, George. Thank you. Damn hot is about all I'm capable of doing.
Look
here
at that is deathly
in this moment. It's just the fact that it already looks like it's on fire.
All right. To answer your question, I'm feeling good. I saw that. Do you remember a couple years ago? Which I think a lot of that line has to do with the last time Tennessee went down there, and it was this game of the century, and then it was like a 13-point game, I think.
Yeah.
13 points made it look a lot closer than it really was. There's a big gap between those teams. That year, Tennessee fans got a hold of Stetson Bennett's phone number. They put it out on the internet.
I just realized the chocolate milk isn't for me; it's for George.
That's so cruel. And Stetson Bennett got 700-800 phone calls, and then he scored a touchdown, and he did the "call me" sign to the Tennessee fans that were in the building. I saw on social media floating out there somebody had put out a screenshot of what looks to be a Carson Beck contact with a number, and I said, not again. Let's not do this.
Don't do it.
But I'm realizing that maybe the biggest obstacle for Georgia is not Carson Beck. Just stop throwing interceptions and be good again. It's be able to run the football, put him in a better situation. And I don't have a ton of confidence in Georgia to be able to do that, especially without their lead rusher in Trevor Etienne, who's got nearly 500 rush yards on the season. So I'm confident. Ramon asked me as we were shift changing the other day, where are you at, 1 to 10? I said a 6. I'm bumping up a 7.5. I am a 7.5 out of 10 in my confidence level, and I feel like Nico Iamaleava is going to play. I'm going to speak it into existence. All right, we need to take a bite of this before the polls. That's how this works.
I don't want to do this.
Just take a bite.
No. That's not mine. Mine's damn hot.
Oh, you were such a coward.
That's fine. Let me live, okay? Where's George? I want George to know that I'm doing this. George, we're doing it, all right?
All right, this is...
Well, no, we both can't do it at the same time.
You go first.
One of us has to talk.
ASMR.
All right. This is damn hot that I'm about to be. Oh, thank God there's ice cream. All right.
This is a risky proposition, George.
George, I love you, but I hate you in this moment.
I have a lot to do today. Oh, that's a healthy bite. All right. I'll give you credit. That was a good bite. All right. He's chewing.
Georgia is really not nice.
Let it settle. That's the thing about it. It takes a minute.
It fools you.
It does.
It
really.
fools
You're like,
you
oh, this isn't that bad.
Into thinking that you're safe.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to go.
All right, Joseph, give me the polls music before I, asphyxiate or something like that. I'm already scared.
Oh, my God, that one is coded.
I'm already scared. Woo! Oh, no. I'm going to wait before I get to the ice cream.
Oh, the margarita is delightful.
No, I don't think the margarita helped.
Mm. Oh, it's so good, though.
It's just one of those things where I don't know whether to hiccup or vomit.
Get him away from him. Oh, don't let him have it.
Oh, no.
He's doing all right.
I'm doing okay only because I wouldn't do the shut the cluck up. I did damn hot. Get that away from me. Woo!
I get the hiccups when I eat really spicy stuff.
I'm unwell.
Okay.
Thank you. It's been a great year.
Always great to see you, George. Happy birthday.
Thank you, George.
Happy 1-year anniversary to the factory at Franklin, the Hattie B's location.
Rapid fire.
As he drinks the chocolate milk in front of me
Vols
to
fans,
just twist the knife.
what is your confidence level for the Georgia game? Scale of 1 to 10. Karen says an 8. She refuses to let BVS get her down. Michael says 5. It would be a 9 if the game was played in Neyland Stadium.
This can't be good radio. We're just breathing heavily into microphones.
Ryan says it's a 7 to 8. It's weirdly high for Ryan for some reason. Austin says 5. He's going with a coin flip. So I'm seeing some relative confidence here.
This is fantastic.
The BVS is being tampered down. What is the next step we need to see from Will Levis?
I'm going to eat the ice cream. I can't do it.
On Sunday, Karen says keep the turnovers to a minimum. Kenneth says under 4 sacks. That's going to be tough to do. Vikings are going to come at him. Nicholas Petit-Frere is starting at right tackle.
He's sweating.
Kenny says a win. Wins are good. He'd like to see a win led by Will Levis.
Let's not get nuts.
Who wins the NFL rushing title? 81% say it's going to be Derrick Henry over Saquon Barkley.
I'm eating ice cream. You
Okay.
have to talk.
Who you got? Mike Tyson or Jake Paul? 72% are going with Iron Mike.
I really hope that Mike Tyson wins. Are we done?
No, we're done. Those are the polls. Thank you, Hattie B's. Go to HattieB.com for your Thanksgiving.
Do you want some ice cream?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Have a great weekend. We're out of here. Come check out Hattie B's.
Lucas is down. He's down.